designed to facilitate an organization's adoption of Bitcoin as a payment system and to fully capitalize on that decision in their fundraising efforts. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com. Reuters reports North Dakota's governor on Monday ordered the expulsion of protesters camped on federal property near the site of the oil pipeline project they oppose, saying the emergency evacuation was necessary to protect them from harsh winter conditions. The executive order from Governor Jack Dalrymple came 2 days after the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers said it would close public access to the main protest encampment about 30 miles south of Bismarck, setting a December 5th deadline for demonstrators opposed to the Dakota Access Pipeline to leave the area. Demonstrators have protested the Dakota Access Pipeline for months, saying it poses a threat to water resources and to sacred Native American sites. Police drew condemnation from the American Civil Liberties Union and others last week when they used water hoses in below-freezing weather in an attempt to disperse about 400 activists near the proposed tunnel excavation site. Activists protesting the pipeline have vowed to continue their resistance. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Tomorrow's my big day. I'm going to go in for surgery, and hopefully you'll come along. Now, I do have to admit that I am in a bit of pain, so I'm really looking forward to this procedure. I think we're both going to find out that having surgery just isn't as scary as it sounds.
We're covering our own Jim Haggerty's kidney stone removal surgery, and his surgery is now just minutes away. So, Dr. Atka, tell us what precautions we would take to prevent us from getting kidney stones.
Always stay hydrated. Water helps the kidneys break the stuff down.
Ah, hear that, Jim? More water.
What?
More water. Maybe we should replace your coffee.
Please go away. Please. Ow, no.
That's a camera they're going to use to film the whole surgery from inside Jim's body,
yes, that's going to be pushed into Jim's urethra as well. Now, normally they wouldn't do this. This is purely for the benefit of us watching it on TV.
All right, stick with us, because first he's going to pop into the children's ward to cheer up some youngsters suffering from terminal illnesses.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. You are invited to join us here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype. Our Skype username is lrn.fm. And in the studio tonight, you have Ian.
And Vincent.
And, of course, you can take control of the airwaves. That's the point of Free Talk Live. You're also welcome to join us online over at freetalklive.com. Lots of interesting news to start out the show with here tonight. Apparently, there was some alleged ISIS attack. I honestly don't know anything about it, Vincent. I have not had a chance to look into that story. But
where? ISIS attack where?
Ohio.
Oh, are they talking about the stabbing / car ramming?
That's what they're talking about. Yeah, have you been following that?
Yeah, I heard a little bit about it.
There is the story here from Reuters. A Somali immigrant who injured 11 people at Ohio State University in a vehicle and stabbing attack before he was shot dead may have followed the same path to self-radicalization as militants in a number of lone wolf attacks, according to U.S. officials.
He posted a message on Facebook describing his motives.
Which had something to do with being Islamic?
Yeah, something along those lines. He did mention Allah a lot.
The story says that the Islamic State militant group claimed responsibility Tuesday for the attack. Abdul Razak Ali Artan, age 20, was shot dead by a police officer Monday, moments after he plowed his car into a crowd of pedestrians, then leapt out and began stabbing people with a butcher knife. Investigators, well, good thing they banned guns on campus, huh?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Investigators were probing the background of Artan, a Muslim who was a lawful permanent resident of the United States and student at Ohio State. No motive was given by police. So far, investigators have found no strong evidence linking Artan to other known militant individuals, cells, or groups, said two federal law enforcement officials who declined to be named because the probe is ongoing. Artan's actions fit the pattern of lone wolf militants who carried out attacks in the United States, such as the gunman who shot to death 49 people at a nightclub in Orlando, Florida earlier this year, and the man who killed 4 Marines and a Navy sailor in shooting in Chattanooga, Tennessee last year. The gunmen in those 2 attacks were also Muslim and were killed by police. A federal official who asked not to be identified said that while Islamic State has claimed responsibility in other attacks, investigators have seen no evidence so far that the militant group's role was anything more than inspirational.
Yeah, they claim. It's more of a propaganda thing when they claim responsibility for the attack. Yeah, maybe their spreading of violent ideology was responsible for it, but it's not as if there's any link, like they're in contact or anything.
They didn't give him the knife and the gun or the car or whatever. They want to claim responsibility, but ultimately, they probably didn't specifically instruct him to do it.
And they do it for nearly every attack that happens.
Right. Investigators were looking into a message posted on Facebook by Artan that contained inflammatory statements about being sick and tired of seeing Muslims killed and reaching a boiling point, said a law enforcement source. He said, "Stop the killing of Muslims in Burma." On his Facebook post, violence in Myanmar, which is also known as Burma, has sent Rohingya Muslims fleeing across the border to Bangladesh amid allegations of abuses by security forces. All of Artan's Facebook postings have been removed from the social media website, which I always find unfortunate. Whenever any incident, whether it's a terrorist attack or just someone goes crazy and does something wherever, that Facebook or Twitter will almost always pull down the post. Now, are they doing that on their own volition, or are police ordering them to pull down the post? Obviously, the police are getting a copy for evidence purposes, but why do they make that choice?
I wonder if there's a policy, like if someone dies, who takes down the Facebook? Like if, how does Facebook verify? Let's say my grandfather has a Facebook page and then he passes away. What happens to that page? Do the family have to file a report to Facebook and ask to take it down?
I don't know. It's a good question, because I've certainly seen Facebook pages stay up typically when people are dead. There are some people that, who I've known who have passed away, and their Facebook pages are still there, and they usually have, best wishes notes and fare thee well kind of notes from old friends and family members. If
I recall correctly, the Boston bomber, the younger one, he had a bunch of friend requests right after he did the he did his thing, right? I think so. Yeah, he had a bunch, and that was a thing with the whole Rolling Stone magazine cover.
It's the claim of, or in its claim for responsibility, Islamic State news agency Amaq posted a photo of Artan wearing a blue shirt and sitting with greenery in the background. It described him as a soldier of the group. The caption read, quote, "Brother Abdul Razak Ali Artan, God accept him, implementer of the Ohio attack, a student in his 3rd year at university. He was born in Somalia, arrived in 2014 into the United States, according to a federal official. They believe that he may have lived for as long as 7 years in Pakistan," said the official, and Somali refugees often spend some time in Pakistan before coming to the United States. Investigators are trying to assemble a full picture of Artan's associates and recent activities, and then they go on to talk about how people are still injured, some of them, and many people are rattled over this, obviously. And of course, these kinds of attacks inevitably lead to more calls for security. More calls for the government to keep you safe. Now, Vincent, you've been a fan of Donald Trump, although he's said some things you don't like.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the inevitable call here? I mean, I don't know if Trump has commented on this. I haven't looked for whatever it is he's had to say.
He gave condolences. Condolences.
But, he's somebody who is a supporter, from what I can tell, of a police state. He is somebody who supports having police kind of security, border security, in the United States, and very prevalent throughout the United States, for the idea of claiming he supports the police, claiming he supports security, as though you have to support a greater police state in order to support security, which is it doesn't follow.
From what I've been following from his campaign since 2015, it's been now, I never saw any reason to believe that he was in favor of, say, the militarized police state Obama brought about.
He's not going to roll it back, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, granted, and I wish he would, but I think in terms of this, what the effect, the most relevant policy he had was probably either higher vetting or just overall ban of bringing in refugees or immigrants from areas, as he says, affected by terrorism, which Yeah, I'm pretty sure Somalia and Pakistan both are involved in that list of countries.
Probably would be on that list, yeah. Whether that will actually stop violence from happening is another question, because as you've seen, certainly even though people from Mexico are not allowed to come here without, having paperwork, there's still plenty of people who come here anyway. They find their way in.
Yeah, it's just easier from Mexico than from across the seas, I imagine.
That's true. But no one's, it's not impossible to imagine that somebody who was dedicated to the idea of, let's say let's say that they had their family blown up in a drone strike in Pakistan or wherever it would be that might happen. And, their family is now dead. Their home has been destroyed. They now have nothing really to live for from their perspective in a lot of ways. And, they may decide, so I'm not legally allowed to immigrate to the United States anymore. So I'll just go ahead and take a trip over to Canada or Mexico and then pay a coyote to smuggle me across the border, where I will then get into the country and blow something up to show them what's for.
You mentioned Canada and Mexico. Then, when we have the border security, and I remember I don't remember, I wasn't alive back then, but the Millennium Bomber, he tried to get in through the relatively lax security at Canada with a bomb to blow up a Los Angeles airport, and he was stopped by border security.
Well, if you go under the border, then the border security isn't going to be able to stop you, right? I mean, you are aware that drug cartels will literally tunnel underneath border walls.
Oh, yeah. And it's similar to the wall in Israel. We're not just saying we're going to put a wall and then we're just going to leave and say, okay, everything's fine. There's going to be people patrolling around there. Maybe even, I think they have aircraft at this point going around there, security system and stuff. So it's not like we're just going to leave it there unattended, say, okay, we've set up a wall. All right, guys, time to go home and crack open a beer. It's not going to be like that.
The other challenge, even though if you put a lot more men down there, that just means that the smugglers have to pay off more guards, because it's not uncommon for drug smugglers to give, and people smugglers as well, I'm sure, to give payoffs to the people who are on the Border Patrol at whatever the point is where they want to cross, to say, hey, you need to look the other way when this yellow truck comes through on Thursday at 10 a.m. 855-450 free. It's Free Talk Live.
Thanks for calling Somobiotics. Are you calling for a free trial of our belly flattening breakthrough?
Actually, I already got the free trial. It totally flattened my belly.
Wow, that's great news.
But now I have a problem I never thought I'd have. My belly just keeps getting flatter. I mean, I don't want to look like a runway model, but I don't want to stop taking Somobiotics either. Because seriously, I've never looked this good.
Well, here's one thing you can do. Only take Somobiotics every other day. That'll keep up your results without making your belly too flat. And if you ever need to ramp up your belly flattening results again, just go back to taking it every day.
To get your free trial of Somobiotics, call 1-800-961-5687. You're going to love how you look. And if your belly flattening results are too dramatic, simply reduce use to every other day. But hurry and call now for details while they're still giving it away for free. Call 1-800-961-5687. That's 1-800-961-5687. 1-800-961-5687.
Winter has just begun, and are you already tired of being cold? How would you like to never be cold again? This is Dale with Fortress Clothing, and I'm here to tell you, you will never be cold again with Fortress. If you're tired of freezing your butt off, elk hunting, sitting in a tree stand deer hunting, winter camping, fishing, ice fishing, no longer fear the cold. If you snowmobile, ski, snowboard, get Fortress. Sledding with the kids, shoveling the walks, shopping, or if you or your spouse get cold feet at home, get Fortress. If you're stuck outside working in the cold or find yourself in an emergency situation, get our winter bug-out bag and you will never be cold again. Fortress is the answer, so quit complaining and go to fortressclothing.com. It's a mid-layer garment that goes with anything you want to wear. Enter coupon code RADIO and get 20% off any item. Go now while we still have inventory. fortressclothing.com.
I just heard the best sales pitch I've heard in a long time on an airplane. The flight attendant announced, if you paid more than $75 for your round-trip ticket, you overpaid. This is brilliant because everybody on the flight paid more, and I was struck by how all the road warriors stopped typing and reading and working and looked up. The announcement invited us to apply for the airline's credit card. And the sign-up bonus? Enough frequent flyer miles for a free round trip. Talk about turning lemons into lemonade. With some banks offering free credit cards, $75 is an outrage for an annual fee, but a bargain for airline tickets. For more tips on communicating more effectively, hit survivalspeech.com, where you can see how I got the CEO of another major airline to shower me with freebies. I'm Holland Cook.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Tuesday, gold is $4 lower at $1,189 per ounce. Silver is down 9 cents at $16.57 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $731 US. This is your last chance to get 2016 Silver American Eagles, and fortunately for buyers, prices are very low. To get yours today, call us at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live, we invite you to join us right here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Alleged terrorist attack involving running somebody down and stabbing people out in Ohio. That's certainly the top story in the news in the U.S., it seems like, at the moment. It's Ian and Vincent in the studio with you tonight. And, of course, you can join us online anytime you want. Just head on over to freetalklive.com and get interactive there. Now, if something bad happens, whether it's a madman on a stabbing spree or a policeman who's taken you and abducted you or whatever, or has pulled you over, or something's on fire, or a medical emergency, or whatever bad thing might happen, Cell 411 has got you covered. This is a great app for your smartphone. Vincent, do you have Cell 411 yet?
Yeah, I do. I don't have the latest incarnation of it, which allows ride sharing.
That's correct. So the first and foremost, the reason why Cell 411 was created was as a decentralized emergency response app. The idea is to basically replace 911. And the idea is essentially that you can alert your friends and family members, or even total strangers in the public, that something bad has happened to you, and they'll get a GPS-based notice of, oh, hey, Vincent got pulled over, and it'll show your location. In fact, you can even stream live video of what's happening on that scene. So that allows your friends to know where you are in case they want to come help you out. Or, your tire got popped while you're on the interstate. Again, it's nice to have somebody come help you out rather than having to, let's say, call a tow truck or something like that. So Cell 411 is a big help in that way, and it's been doing that for more than a year. You can go and get it for free at getcell411.com. And as you mentioned, they added ride sharing this year, actually just about a month ago or so. And that just takes this app to the next level, and it's already was an incredibly useful app. Now it's probably the killer app for smartphones. You got to have Cell 411. It allows total freedom for drivers and riders to make choices that they've never been able to make under Uber and Lyft, and I love it. Go to getcell411.com. That's getcell411.com. As we continue here, we were talking about the idea of, Vincent, you are still of the belief that the government can crack down on the border and stop people from coming in here. But
yes,
you already know that the government, when they put a war on something, generally fails at that war, right? So the war on poverty hasn't eliminated poverty. You could argue there's more poverty now, because of the war on it, because, welfare programs that keep people in poverty.
I'd say in terms of abstract, like war on poverty, war on drugs, the abstract, that's where governments fail at. But compared to things
war
like
on immigrants isn't abstract in your mind?
Well, I mean, it's more of a physical thing by saying, here's this line, you cannot cross this line.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a physical line that's one of the things the government, originally was supposed to do, is protect borders from foreign invasion, which it's not a military invasion yet, but that's why I see it as.
Was that what they were originally supposed to do? I mean, the United States was so large compared to the amount of people that were in it back in the day. There was no protection whatsoever. If you wanted to roll up on a ship and, get out onto the shore and walk away from it, no one would know about it in 1796 or whatever.
But we've evolved past that, I believe. Yeah, I do understand. I shouldn't have said originally intended, but that's what I see as. I'm a believer in a night watchman state, at least currently seeing, at least with what we currently are, and I do believe that.
But who watches the watchmen?
It's the people do. We have to have a vigilant populace.
That hasn't worked so well when it comes to police abuse. I mean, we've seen all kinds of examples of police hurting peaceful people, murdering innocent people, raiding the wrong home.
Yes,
I mean, there's
because
all
we
kinds
don't live in a night watchman state. I will admit that we live in a total police state. That
okay,
I'll admit,
all right.
yes.
And you're not happy about that?
No, I am not happy about it.
So if you want to comment on the alleged terror strike, again, ISIS claiming responsibility for what appears to be a lone man who, was mad, and probably for legitimate reasons, like, hey, stop bombing some country.
Yeah, that shows the Burmese kill a bunch of Ohioans.
Well, I mean, regardless, the United States government has absolutely bombed a bunch of places.
I know. It's just saying his whatever. I
don't know what hand they. I don't know what hand they had in Burma or whatever. I'm not sure about what's going on.
I do remember something about some kind of atrocity happening in Burma. Like again,
they're probably providing the weapons. Would be my guess.
Right.
That's just a guess. I'm completely uneducated on that.
Yeah, I think from what I understand, isn't it called Myanmar now? Burma.
Yeah, that's what they were
Burma
saying.
was the old colonial name. From what I understand, the U.S. doesn't have too much relations with them. It's not like we're propping them up like, Noriega. I think it's just something the U.S. turns a blind eye to. Then again, I don't know. This attacker didn't strike me as being very bright. So.
There's always that possibility. Yeah, he's just wanted to lash out, even though maybe the U.S. government doesn't have much to do with it. I don't know. If you know more about the U.S. government involvement in Myanmar, you're welcome to call in toll free here, 855-450-FREE. But I'm going to give Trump some credit because I give credit where credit is due. Where Obama made some correct choices. Didn't happen often, but where that happened, I gave the guy credit. Like when he said that he wanted to get rid of Guantanamo Bay. Ultimately, he didn't, but he said it. But he actually did get rid of, or he did pardon some people who were in jail or commute their sentences, or both. He's pardoned a number of nonviolent drug offenders from federal prison. I think that was the right thing to do. So I've given credit where credit is due. I'm not across the board going to hate on somebody who's a politician when the clock strikes right. And in this case, Trump got something right here, or at the very least, one of Trump's advisors got something right. A story from the Washington Post. A top advisor to Donald Trump on tech policy matters proposed all but abolishing the nation's telecom regulator last month, foreshadowing possible moves by the president-elect to sharply reduce the Federal Communications Commission's role as a consumer protection watchdog. In an October 21st blog post, Mark Jameson, who on Monday was named one of 2 members to Trump's tech policy transition team, laid out his ideal vision for the government's role in telecommunications, concluding that there is little need for the agency to exist. Quote, most of the original motivations for having an FCC have gone away. Telecommunications network providers and internet service providers are rarely, if ever, monopolies. Now, I'm interested in seeing the full post. I haven't actually looked at that yet. I just thought it was an interesting story because, well, it definitely affects our business. Yes. This would be nice to see if there was actually no FCC. I mean, imagine what that would mean for the radio world.
We could say bad words on Free Talk Live again.
Well, good, but could you, Vincent? Because if you think about it, there's always the marketplace that is the regulating factor. And in the absence of a government regulator, then the marketplace provides voluntary regulation. So yes, there could be a radio station that is directed solely at adults who are, super vulgar.
Howard Stern.
Or what? Yeah, Howard Stern FM or whatever. And that could exist, but I don't think most stations would be like that because you still have to satisfy the advertisers. If the advertisers don't want to be associated with some sort of vulgar TNA radio or whatever, then it's going to be hard to make the budget for that station work. But let's talk more about this, and I'll see if I can pull up, I don't know, maybe the guy's blog post is actually pretty good. We'll see what he has to say. It's entitled, Do We Need the FCC? 855-450 free. However, I would caution you not to get your hopes up. It's likely not going anywhere. It's Free Talk Live.
Why be held hostage by your wireless carrier for 2 years? What if there were no contracts, no activation fees, no tracking, tracing, or draconian gimmicks? All on America's largest 4G LTE networks. Introducing PixWireless.com. Activate your Sprint, AT&T, and unlock GSM phones instantly. Bring your own device and make the switch today. Here's how. Call or click 1-800-205-9513 or PixWireless.com. Spelled P-I-X. PixWireless.com.
Don't know what contaminants are lurking in your water? Time to get a ProPure. Take advantage of ProPure's holiday sale. Save 25% on all ProPure water filter products. Sale's good through December 31st. There's a ProPure water filter for you. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com.
Free Talk Live.
I have been in the Central Square in Keene, New Hampshire with a group of people, and people have smoked cannabis there. If you don't want to inhale the cannabis, don't stand right in front of me as I'm smoking the joint. I'm not going to make an effort to blow anything in your face. That would be rude. That would be a violation of your personal space. But if you're downwind somewhere and you can smell the aroma of the pot being smoked, that in no way, shape, or form is having any effect on you.
What if they're standing 5 feet away?
You are being ridiculous.
No, I'm saying.
You are being ridiculous. No. The only way you're going to get high, sir, the only way you're going to even have a chance of feeling any sort of effect is if I go walk up right into your face and blow it up your nose.
Nice try, troll.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
For Bitcoin to be ubiquitous, people need to use it. For people to use it, they must have it. How can we get Bitcoin into more hands? Tipping. What if you could include a bonus Bitcoin tip along with your regular tip to a server? What if that Bitcoin tip returned to you if unclaimed after 30 days? An attractive business card Bitcoin tip that's easily claimed, gives instructions on wallets and spending, and returns to the tipper if unused. Tip.freetalklive.com. Tip.freetalklive.com.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live shows 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa, Hey, who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it. Wait on the counter. Now.
Wait a minute.
Whoa.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me?
Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can bring up anything that you want here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well. It's Skype username LRN.FM. And if you've ever wanted to start up your own blog or website for your business, for instance, you can do that with HostGator. If you've been sitting around, not sure, you're a little worried about what the process is like, you're not sure about how to do it, well, the folks over at HostGator make it easy. They've got 24/7 over the phone or live chat tech support. They got a one-click easy installation for WordPress and an intuitive and user-friendly control panel that puts the power of creation and the simplicity of use into your hands. Plus, a 99.99% uptime rating, and also a special deal for Free Talk Live listeners. You can go to HostGator.com/FTL, and if you do, you'll get a special deal. In fact, it had been 50% off. Now, I don't know when it's going to go back to 50% off. We don't yet know when the 65% off sale is going to end, but it's at 65% off right now. So if you've been waiting, now's the time to get off the fence and go and get started building your website. Come on, it's the 21st century. It's time to get on that thing. Go to HostGator.com/FTL. Get 65% off to start if you're a Free Talk Live listener. HostGator.com/FTL. All right, so what would broadcasting be like if there were no FCC? There are news headlines that have been going around over the weekend suggesting that a Trump advisor named Mark Jameson, who posts at a website called techpolicydaily.com, he wrote an article called "Do We Need the FCC?" And apparently Trump has appointed this Jameson fellow to his so-called tech policy transition team. Now, I would caution people to not get their hopes up when it comes to something like this. In fact, I'd like to know, when was the last time in the history of the United States that a federal agency, a bureaucracy, was created and then later eliminated?
The Bureau of Indian Affairs?
No. They are still around. They are called, I believe, I think they're still around, called the Bureau of Indian
Affairs. Well, they changed their name. I'm just saying it was destroy, then change the name, put it into...
Yeah, name change doesn't count.
Okay.
Changing, like the reshuffling of the Department of Homeland... Right. So, like, the Department of Homeland Security didn't exist before. ICE used to be called the INS. So, that's not what I mean. When did they actually shut down a bureaucracy and give all those bureaucrats pink slips saying... "See you later.
Sayonara."
Yeah, when has that happened? Maybe it's happened. I just, would be completely unaware of it. So if you know, you can call in toll-free here at 855-450-FREE. Because, of course, the FCC is going to fight tooth and nail to try to stay as relevant as they can. Of course, they're not relevant. They just stand in the way of actually getting things done. You want to see technology take off as far as its pace is concerned? Get rid of the FCC. No doubt, tech is one of the least regulated sectors in the United States. For instance, computers have been a great example of the basically the free market in action. There's very little regulation beyond some FCC certification of non-interference of devices that computer chip makers and hardware manufacturers have to go through to bring their products to marketplace. So there's not a whole lot of regulation there. And of course, you can see how amazing the computer industry has been over the years. If you go back 20 years and you look at a $3,000 computer, it doesn't do, 1/100th of the work that a $300 computer does today. So, the prices come down, the quality goes up.
Well, take a look at one of the most regulated industries, pharmaceuticals.
Healthcare.
I mean, how many lives could have been saved had the FDA not, put a new cure for some disease on trial for 10 years and then the company ran out of money because they couldn't get through all the hoops and circles?
Yep, it happens all of the time. And the FDA acts like the Food and Drug Administration is who you're talking about there. They act like they're doing everybody a favor, when all they're really doing is protecting individuals from making decisions about their own life. If I want to decide to take some experimental medicine that's completely unproven, if I come down with some kind of terminal illness and it's like, well, nothing else is working, I'm willing to try this. It's my body. I should be able to do what I want with it. Well, the FDA says, no, you can't do that. We need $1 billion, and we need an application fee, and we need, all this.
You need lobbyists. You need to be part of Big Pharma, all of that junk.
Right, which means that if you're not part of Big Pharma, even if you come up with a cure for AIDS or cancer or something like that, good luck getting it, through the. Where are you going to get the $1 billion or whatever that you need to get it through the FDA? It's not possible. So the FCC. Even though there are some areas of tech that it doesn't really have its tentacles into, it certainly has its tentacles into communications, and in the realm of cable television, the realm of radio, in the realm of broadcast television. What remains of that? There's not much left there, and also now internet with the internet regulations and the net neutrality, as it has been called, forcing internet providers to treat all traffic alike. The FCC is a meddler, and that gets in the way of business getting done. It gets in the way of efficiency. It gets in the way of new developments. We've talked before about how the FCC actually stopped cell phones from coming out probably by about 2 decades.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, you could have probably had cell phones in like the 60s, but instead you ended up getting them in the 80s. And the technology was there. It was applied for with the FCC, and they sat on it. Just like they sat on local guy here in the Keene area applied for a radio station license. The FCC had one license that they had determined would be available in the city of Keene, New Hampshire. Small city of about 23,000 people. There aren't a whole lot of radio stations here. There's a lot of open bandwidth on the FM and certainly on the AM band. But this was an FM station. And the FCC, in all of their wisdom, had decided there shall be one new FM station in Keene, New Hampshire. And 2 organizations applied. One was an individual who did not own any stations in town. The other was the sort of corporate mega group in town that's got like 9 stations, basically. They never decided. The guy, he applied in like the mid-aughts, so like a decade ago.
Oh, yeah.
And he left, actually probably was the early aughts, but anyway, sometime like more than a decade ago, he applied for this. And I knew him because, there aren't too many radio people here in the area, so I knew the guy. He told me that they never made a decision and that he was leaving town because he wanted to go like retire in Michigan. And so the guy who applied for the radio station, it would be probably the only independently owned radio station in town if it were actually granted, was up against the mega corporation Saga Broadcasting, and the FCC was like, well, we just can't, I don't know, we just can't figure it out. Well, thanks for the application fee, guys. I mean, come on. I mean, It would seem, look, I don't support the FCC existing in the first place, but it would seem obvious, do you grant the license to the company that has 9 stations in town or the guy who doesn't have any? That's a really tough decision, isn't it?
We're paying taxes to fund these people.
Yeah. And the other thing is, they'll only open up the broadcast application window for a very limited time. So people will ask me like, well, what's it take to get a broadcast license? Why don't you just go get one? Because there's been pirate radio stations here in Keene. Well, why don't you just go and get a legal license? Well, number one, you can't. Even if you had the money that it takes, and it's not cheap, you've got to have money, just probably thousands of dollars just for the application fee. I remember trying once to go through the FCC's code to just try to find what the number is for an application fee, and I couldn't figure it out. So you got to hire an attorney who knows the FCC regulations. Then he'll take care of the paperwork for you, bring on an engineering firm. They got to do certain required studies. All this crap's got to be done, and you can then apply for the license.
And you pay all that money, and you don't even have a chance of getting it.
Well, maybe there's a small chance, but it's not likely. Again, presuming the window is open for applications. Most of the time, there's no open window, so they'll just reject you out of hand. Oh, we're sorry. The window's not open for the application process, so you're going to have to wait till we open it. Well, when are you going to open it next? We'll let you know. Or you'll have to ask us. Or, whatever. Yeah. There's no customer service there whatsoever. So no wonder the radio industry is as, I don't know, lethargic.
Stagnant.
Yeah, stagnant. That's a great word for it. As they are. They have no real competition in their direct space. Now, they've had competition added due to the internet. So that's kind of been the game changer when it comes to radios. But still, in their market, they are limited in who can compete on the radio. And maybe, I wouldn't get my hopes up, but maybe this Trump guy will try to change that. We'll talk more about his perspective here in moments. And this is Free Talk Live. You can take control of the airwaves. Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
You want disruption? You got disruption. Cell 411, the world's most disruptive and empowering app, knows you want ride sharing with payment options for cash, Bitcoin, silver and barter, as well as credit cards. And they know you want more than promises. Cell 411 delivers. The same great emergency management app, now with ride sharing. Freedom to travel is a right. You don't need big business telling you how to do it and taking fees. Go to the App Store now and download Cell 411 and get riding.
For over 5 years, you've been hearing about the Berkey guy, so you may know a few things about him. For example, you are well aware of the superior quality and effectiveness of Berkey water filters and accessories. But did you know the Berkeys have had independent lab tests done to prove just how effective they are? It's true, and he can email you the test results. Just visit goberkey.com. You may also know that the Berkey guy has helped tens of thousands of people get better prepared. Now here's something you may not know. GoBerkey.com has amazing specials and deals all the time on a wide variety of survival and preparedness products, most ready to ship same day. Visit the Berkey Guy at goberkey.com and be sure to click the red Products on Sale Now button. You can always call toll-free 877-886-3653. Again, that's 877-886-3653. goberkey.com, home of the Berkey Guy.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Work with your doctor when taking medications. Make Protovite part of your healthy lifestyle.
HealthForLiberty.com is your source for Protovite, a powerful nutritional supplement that's a true breakthrough for your health. Poor digestion makes it nearly impossible to absorb the nutrition your body needs. Protovite is a liquid multi-nutrient formula with patent-pending absorption technology and the highest quality ingredients to nourish every cell in your body.
My name is Sandra White. 6 weeks ago, when I started taking Protovite, I was on 14 medications, from everything for blood pressure to fibromyalgia. In the first 10 days, my blood sugar dropped 50 points, and my fibromyalgia pain is gone. And so was 12 of the 14 medications that I was taking. I'm 66, living life and loving it.
Go to healthforliberty.com right now. That's healthforliberty.com.
Thank you, Protovite, for giving my life back.
For years, LRN.FM has had a listen line that you can call and listen to LRN.FM anytime. Now we're taking the idea to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line. You can call 641-793-9660 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed, and you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 641-793-9660 and choose from the menu 641-793-9660.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Yep, it's Free Talk Live, and you can bring up anything you want. More about the FCC. Will it be eliminated under the Donald Trump administration? It's Ian and Vincent in the studio here tonight. Also want to invite you to join us online. where you can watch us live via our webcam. You can go to cam.freetalklive.com and accomplish that. We're actually live on YouTube and Facebook, so if you go to our Facebook page or our YouTube channel, you'll find the live streams there as well. So feel free to bookmark and share those things, and we appreciate that. So once again, freetalklive.com. As we go to the phones, to the fun, we got Chris listening in Albuquerque, where we are on Kiva. Hey, Chris. Chris in Albuquerque. Do we have a Chris? Thought I heard somebody there. Chris going once.
Hello?
Hey, Chris, you're on the air.
Hey, Chris, how you guys doing?
Welcome, sir. You're on the radio. Go ahead with your thoughts.
All right, cool. So I live in a very liberal society.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
I live in a very liberal society. How do I get my very liberal friends to listen to something besides Occupy Democrats? Any thoughts?
Occupy Democrats? Is that a show? Is that like a radio show? What is that?
It's like a Facebook feed that's very, very extremely anti-Trump. And I want to get them to listen to at least something besides that. What would you say to do?
LRN.FM, of course. Free Talk Live.
Well, I mean, obviously, we'd love to promote Free Talk Live, our own show. But while I am not in favor of Trump, Vincent is. So it's not a.
He didn't necessarily say in favor of Trump. He said anything except whatever far left-wing garbage we're listening to.
Well, yeah, maybe you could.
Exactly.
I'd say Free Talk Live is a good sort of. I'd say Free Talk Live is somewhat neutral because on the nights I'm on, some of the discussion tends to be more right-wing, but other times it's more neutral. I imagine your left-wing friends would appreciate some of the points brought up by Ian and some of the other hosts.
Maybe hearing a discussion where it's not all one-sided like it is here with you and I, Vincent. Maybe that's something that they would appreciate. Maybe you could kind of pitch. Like, you go download this episode of Free Talk Live or give them a link to the download later when I post it at freetalklive.com and say, hey, listen to these people arguing about Trump or whatever. Maybe that would be something. Although I'm praising him in this particular instance in possibly hiring somebody who might want to get rid of the FCC.
Huh. Okay. I mean, that's pretty much all I had, man. I just want my buddies to just where I am. It's like if anybody thinks you remotely have anything to do that's right-wing or conservative, it's like I'm very Hispanic, but they immediately would assume I'm a bigot. And it's like, how do I'm a teacher. So it's like I want to be able to open my students' minds, but I don't want to be shunned out. Does that make sense? I don't want them not listen to me.
So you're talking about students, not a group of your friends.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's really both, dude. I'm an instructor.
Right. So you as you said, you're surrounded by this. At least when it comes to students, you do still have that sort of I'm in charge here authoritarian thing where you can suggest something, and maybe some people will listen just because of the fact that you're standing in front of a classroom. So you can use that to some extent to your benefit. But what you could do is also, find episodes of Free Talk Live that you thought would resonate with lefties, because there are positions that we'll take here on the air, like ending the war on drugs, for instance, that certainly a lot of young people appreciate that idea, the idea that you own your own body. These are concepts that this isn't a conservative show. This is a libertarian show first and foremost. So, hey, there's this great discussion they were having about ending the war on drugs, and I want you guys to listen to this and tell me what you think about it, or we can have a discussion on it in class. Certainly, feel free to use us as classroom material if you feel so inclined.
If you don't want to be overt, well, sorry, I guess I'll give you a chance to respond to Ian.
Go ahead. Okay. I'm listening.
All right, no, sorry. And if you don't want to be overt about it, so you don't have, a parent coming in complaining, saying, "Oh, what are you doing?" Showing my kid this certain point of view. You could also start doing some of the philosophical things, like teaching them how to think for themselves, like empiricism, epistemology. And instead of, saying, "Here, this is what these guys are saying about a topic," you could say, "All right, teach them how to collect evidence, how to, sort of." Create an opinion on their own, and instead of having them absorb all kinds of, either left wing or stuff, like just indoctrinating them.
All right, man. That's pretty much all I need.
Let us know how it goes, Chris. Thanks for the call, dude. I appreciate hearing from you tonight. Our toll-free number, if you want to take control of the airwaves, is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And we've got Skype as well. It's Skype username LRN.FM. Yeah, feel free. I don't believe in intellectual property, which is also another kind of interesting discussion that isn't necessarily a left-wing versus right-wing discussion. And maybe that's something else, what does it mean to be left-wing? What does it mean to be right-wing? Many people consider themselves to be liberals and or conservatives because that's what mom and dad were, and they really don't know why they are what they are, and they really don't know what, if anything, that those particular people stand for.
I just use that as a simplification, so I don't have to explain it too much, because I had a discussion with my dad who describes himself as a constitutional conservative. I said, why do you still call yourself a conservative after 8 years of Obama? What are you trying to conserve?
Exactly. Typically the conservatives will sort of hearken back to in the good old days when America was like blah, blah, blah. And it probably wasn't really like what they thought it was, like white picket fences and perfect nuclear families from the 1950s. I'm sure that was a thing to some extent, just
Norman
as it is
Rockwell
today.
Stuff.
But the bad news, for instance, didn't get around back then like it did today. So it's not to say that there weren't murders and terrible things going on at that time. It's just that you didn't know as much about it. You never heard as much about those things.
Yeah, because with the I think we might be oversaturated with bad news because of the internet and the 24-hour news cycle. But I also kind of want to add about liberals. They say, what are conservatives trying to conserve? Well, how are liberals liberal? Because when you think of liberals, you think of, Democrats or just left-leaning people. And it used to be classical liberals. They'd want all kinds of freedom of ideas, freedom of speech. And a lot of liberals today, as a generalization, they want to limit free speech, like as in terms of hate speech, and they want to tell you what to do with your money through taxation and welfare. So as people say, it's a left-right paradigm. It's kind of false.
Oh, yeah.
In some cases, they're both sides of the same coin, both left and right. It's tyrannical. And then I will admit, some left and right, they're also, so the left, in terms of like drugs and such, that's more of a pro-freedom, but in a lot of
but there's a lot of hypocrites there too. I mean,
they want the government to run the whole drug trade instead of having it be free, like in Canada.
And even while some of the people on the left will say they're in favor of independence for the individual as far as drug use is concerned, typically the politicians aren't. I mean, folks like Hillary Clinton, for instance, are notorious drug warriors. And then you've got people like Joe Biden, or if you go as far back as Joe Biden, of course, was noteworthy in the early part of the 21st century here, where he helped to try to pass the RAVE Act, which put a whole lot of restrictions down on people who might have drugs in a specific place. And then you've got Tipper Gore. You go back into the 1990s with the whole parental advisory explicit lyrics thing. I mean, so as much as the lefties want you to believe that they actually care about your own personal freedoms, it's a bunch of crap. So I think it is interesting and instructive to look at this. And the same thing's true of the conservatives. Oh, we support small business, but they also support regulations, and regulations that drive a lot of businesses out of the United States. So, there's plenty of examples of hypocrisy from, both sides of the aisle. And I think those can all be interesting discussions to have, especially as a class. Like, well, what does it really mean? Oh, this is a question we'll ask on the radio, and it usually brings out some interesting calls. There's like certain topics that are kind of evergreen topics that you can almost guarantee is going to be an interesting discussion. It's like, okay, conservatives and liberals, why don't you call in and tell us what it means to be conservative? What does it mean to be a liberal to you? Just go ahead, describe it. Because as Mark Stevens has pointed out he wrote the book Adventures in Legal Land, really a great, brilliant guy, a libertarian or a voluntarist can sum up their belief system in one sentence. A liberal or conservative cannot possibly do that because they don't really have a principle. The conservative their principle is, well, I'll just support whatever the Republicans support. And, the liberals are, well, I'll just support whatever the Democrats support. I'm generalizing. Obviously,
you're totally on point with that, yeah.
Some people would support whatever the socialists support or whatever so on.
Well, that guy you mentioned, is he the one who came up with the whole mantra that libertarians are fiscally conservative and socially liberal?
No,
that's
Mark
not
Stevens
the sentence?
is not that guy.
Okay,
no.
That's good.
Toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. And, of course, the one sentence is that I don't support or advocate the initiation of force to achieve political or social goals. I think you should be free to live your life how you want, as long as you don't hurt anybody else. That was two sentences, but you could use either one of them. and one of them shorter than the other. 855 450 free. This is Free Talk Live. Hour 2 coming up.
If you had one day to teach someone economics, what would you say? We would say that innovation and prosperity requires economic freedom. Visit fee.org/courses and check out Economics in One Day, a crash course in free market economics that you can present to your community. For over 70 years, the Foundation for Economic Education has been a champion of liberty. Start today at no charge by visiting fee.org/courses and learn why economic freedom matters.
Do you need a website for your blog or new business? It can be pretty intimidating on your own, and that's why Free Talk Live has partnered with HostGator, one of the top hosting companies. HostGator offers a simple one-click, easy installation for WordPress, 24/7 over the phone or live chat tech support, and a very intuitive, user-friendly control panel that puts the power of creation back into your hands. Go to HostGator.com/FTL and you'll get 50% off of their regular hosting prices. 50% off. HostGator.com/FTL.
There's no better app for tracking the value of cryptocurrencies than CoinCap. I've had a lot of apps for tracking Bitcoin, but none that's ever been able to track 500 digital assets at once. Their best feature is the Altfolio. I love this thing. You enter how many Bitcoins, Ether, Dash, Doge, or whatever else you have, and it tells you how much your crypto is worth. You can watch yourself get rich. If you have crypto, go right now to coincap.io, or you can use the Apple Store or Google Play to get the app. I love CoinCap. coincap.io. The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1. Share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, November 29th, 2016. Silver is trading at $16.49 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,183 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 1.8 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $737. Antiwar.com reports the International Criminal Court's investigation into myriad U.S. torture programs the world over has rested on the fact that the U.S. government is not doing anything to punish any of those involved in the crimes. One lawsuit is continuing to slowly advance, however. Dr. James E. Mitchell and Bruce Jessen, a pair of contracted psychologists, were hired by the Bush administration to design and run the entire torture program. Mitchell has even written a book bragging of his involvement and the fact that they both got medals from the CIA for their services. Their defense is built around the idea that they acted with government permission in committing these crimes and seems to rest heavily on the ability to get current government support in suppressing classified evidence of all the sordid details. While President Obama spent the last 8 years admitting we tortured some folks and shirking responsibility for it, experts are saying it is likely to rest on President-elect Donald Trump whether to claim state secrets to block this particular civil case from going further. While Trump campaigned on the idea of returning to the days of torture, it is not clear he's going to be on board with using the state secrets claim to cover up the torture of the past. This is particularly true because he previously presented the torturing as something of a badge of honor for the U.S. and the recent lack as a sign of weakness. Trump is also said to be souring on the return to torture after discussions with General James Mattis, and that could also change things. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports President Barack Obama leaves office with the highest approval rating in 4 years, according to a Quinnipiac University survey released on Monday. A majority of respondents called Obama a great or good president. 22% called him great and 33% called him good, compared to 23% who rated him not so good and 22% calling him bad. Respondents, by a margin of 44% to 38%, said Obama's policies have helped the country, the rest saying they had no effect. 21% said the policies have helped them financially, while 33% said they were personally hurt, and 44% said they saw no difference. The results are Obama's most favorable rating since immediately after his 2012 re-election. The poll also found that both the Democratic and Republican parties had negative favorability ratings, but for the first time in 2 years, the GOP's rating was better than that of the Democrats. The Republican Party was regarded as 38% favorable and 50% unfavorable by the respondents. The Democratic Party received ratings of 35% favorable and 60% unfavorable. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs offers premium publicity campaigns designed to facilitate an organization's adoption of Bitcoin as a payment system and to fully capitalize on that decision in their fundraising efforts. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com. Reuters reports North Dakota's governor on Monday ordered the expulsion of protesters camped on federal property near the site of the oil pipeline project they oppose, saying the emergency evacuation was necessary to protect them from harsh winter conditions. The executive order from Governor Jack Dalrymple came 2 days after the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers said it would close public access to the main protest encampment about 30 miles south of Bismarck, setting a December 5th deadline for demonstrators opposed to the Dakota Access Pipeline to leave the area. Demonstrators have protested the Dakota Access Pipeline for months, saying it poses a threat to water resources and to sacred Native American sites. Police drew condemnation from the American Civil Liberties Union and others last week when they used water hoses in below-freezing weather in an attempt to disperse about 400 activists near the proposed tunnel excavation site. Activists protesting the pipeline have vowed to continue their resistance. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Millions of Americans are irrationally feared dead following a train derailment near Wilmington, Delaware.
Less than 200 people were aboard the train, but because no names have been released yet, countless more are being imagined trapped inside the wreckage by worried parents and overly anxious friends.
And the list of imagined victims is growing by the minute. From brothers-in-law who live in Delaware, who usually drive but could possibly have been on that train, to friends who went to Delaware on a business trip and may have been next to the tracks for some reason when the train derailed.
And sadly, we're getting reports that even those who have never been to Delaware are now also among those irrationally thought killed.
Oh, and we are just now getting word from Homeland Security that they're now warning people their fears may spiral into a wholly new fear that their loved ones never existed at all and are just byproducts of a drug-induced lucid dream in which their consciousness is currently imprisoned.
Such a shame, since this is reality.
There is nothing beyond this. To believe otherwise would be folly.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. You are invited to join us here on the radio waves. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Tonight in the studio, you've got Ian.
And Vincent.
We're discussing, actually, some possible good news about Donald Trump. I've been a critic, obviously, but at the same time, I would say I don't want to say I'm cautiously optimistic, but every now and then there's a news story that'll pop up that'll make me think, that's a little bit different. Like there's actually somebody in the Trump transition team, as they're calling it, who is advocating not quite the total abolishment of the FCC, but a major gutting, I guess, of the FCC. And as a broadcaster, obviously, I would love to see that happen. And there are some broadcasters who would not like to see that happen because they understand that the FCC is basically their protection racket, that the FCC protects broadcasters from competition on the airwaves. Now, they can't protect broadcasters from the internet, and ultimately that will be likely the downfall of broadcast if they aren't allowed freedom to decide, freedom to choose their frequency location, freedom to compete without having to ask permission. Because if there were no FCC, then anybody who wanted to could start a radio station. So right now, if you want to start a radio station, well, your music of choice or talk format of choice better be commercially viable, or else you're going to go out of business, because you got to spend all kinds of money to get an FCC. First of all, get the license in the first place, but secondly, have an FCC-compliant broadcast facility, and so on and so forth. It's just, never-ending piles of regulations for broadcasters. And so that's one of the reasons why you don't have a whole lot of choices. Sure, in a market like New York City, the band is filled, but that's unusual. The average marketplace in the United States is not full. There's plenty of open spaces, which means there should be people who are putting up signals there, maybe with unusual musical formats, maybe with reggae or electronic music, or things that are more niche that might have a small fan base, but not a large enough fan base to really be able to pay disc jockeys and pay the rent and all that. But if all it costs to start a radio station is $1,000 for a decent transmitter and $1,000 for some nice equipment to plug into the transmitter, that's probably less than what you'd spend on just the application fee alone to the FCC. So to get rid of the FCC would lower the bar significantly to the average person and allow them to actually enter into broadcasting, which in my opinion would be good for the broadcast business because they need competition to be on their best behavior. It's helped to have the internet out there, but there's still that dividing line between internet, where everything you could possibly imagine to listen to is available, and then radio, where there's a handful of choices on the dial.
Yeah.
And so here's a story here from techpolicydaily.com. This is actually the piece written by a man named Mark Jameson, who, according to the Washington Post, is one of two people on Trump's tech policy transition team. So Trump has appointed this guy to his transition team, and he's saying in his blog post, which was written very recently, about a month ago in October, do we need the FCC at techpolicydaily.com? So here's what he has to say. The Federal Communications Commission under Chairman Tom Wheeler has come under increasing fire for suppressing economic analysis and being politically driven. In effect, we have not had an FCC for the past 3 years. Well, I don't know about that. At least not in the way the agency was intended to operate. So that raises the question, do we really need the FCC? The answer is no, but yes. The original purpose of the FCC was largely to oversee telephone monopolies, interstate services, and regulate broadcasting, including management of radio spectrum. Following the lessons learned by the states from the regulation of railroads, utilities, and telephone companies, Congress set up the FCC as an independent agency, and independent does not mean sovereign. The agency is designed to operate under statutory laws, subject to federal budgeting and court appeals, and with commissioners serving fixed terms, acting as decision makers and appointed by the president, subject to Senate approval. Only courts can overturn an FCC decision. The reason for independence is to create a regulatory environment in which businesses can make good investment decisions, he says. The environment needs to be predictable through changes in Congress, the Oval Office, and commissioners. A politically driven agency, one that changes its mind depending on who sits in the White House, chairs congressional committees, and so forth, increases investment risk. And that is how the FCC has been. You may remember it was the Bush administration. This was when you were very young, Vincent, when the Super Bowl
the Janet Jackson thing.
Yeah, and the Janet Jackson thing where she took her top, or Justin, whatever his name is, Bieber or Justin
Timberlake.
Timberlake, yeah. Took her top off.
But it was an accident, wasn't it?
That's what they claim.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it actually was. It was probably planned. But regardless, it went out over broadcast television, and the controversy. Oh my God. Oh my God. The children have seen a pair of breasts. Now the morality of all Americans are compromised, even though many of them saw breasts as a young child.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah. And so I remember when we were on the air back then, it must have been 2003. Yeah, because we had started, or no, 04 maybe.
2006, I find.
No, I think it was 04 because we were on a we were on a radio station in Sarasota, Florida at the time, and it was this crappy little AM station. It was after it was our second station. We were on an FM talker to start. Then they kicked us. They fired me after they got rid of Mark a few months before that, and then they fired the rest of us. And so we took Free Talk Live because the Clear Channel didn't own the intellectual property of the show. So we took Free Talk Live and put it on an AM station. And I remember the reason why we left that station was because the general manager was getting nervous about the content that we were putting out there at nighttime. So it was right after the Janet Jackson incident, and there was like this kind of chilling effect across all of broadcast radio, and it was not good. I remember back then Clear Channel had a policy of when in doubt, leave it out. So that was what they were telling all of their jocks and their morning show hosts. Hey, if you're not sure something should go on the air, just don't even go there. So there was a real chilling effect, and some would say that when the Obama administration took over, that things lightened up a little bit when it came to the FCC. And I believe they actually haven't enforced any indecency on a radio station in many years now. So he's right. It does depend, how the FCC behaves does appear to depend on who is in the White House. Academic research, he says, over the past 20 years has consistently shown that politically driven infrastructure regulation suppresses investment. Anecdotally, the FCC's recent economics-free decision on net neutrality appears to have depressed investment by internet service providers. Well, yeah, if you don't get to control your own business, why would you want to put that much money into it? If you know that next year there could be a completely different political change of the winds in Washington, D.C., and that they might start blowing against your business, you're going to proceed with extreme caution. And that's going to keep innovators out of the space. It's going to keep people who have new ideas, who want to challenge the status quo out of that space. Next question he asks is, does the need for an independent communications agency still exist? And we'll talk about that coming up here with Ian and Vince on Free Talk Live. Let's go to Sarah, though, in Albuquerque. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Sarah.
Well, Cuba had a revolution in the 1950s. And they threw out all the American-owned resorts, casinos, and hotels. And
what a terrible idea!
I think it's not an idea they have. That's what they have done.
Yeah, it's terrible to throw out productive businesses from an economy.
But the thing is, they threw out all the capitalism. Capitalists. And to me, it's
so basically no one can make any money, is what you're saying after that.
No, only the government can make money, Ian.
Well, they can print it, but that doesn't mean they're creating value.
I know.
Sarah.
Well, the thing is, that's why the Castro death is so like big deal, because he's a symbol of that.
A symbol of destruction, a symbol of oppression, a symbol of murder, a symbol of torture. Oh, hang on, Sarah. We'll let you laud this fool in a moment. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. He's dead, by the way, in case you hadn't heard. Fidel Castro passed away on Black Friday, ironically enough. Yeah, it is funny. 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Will Cuba become more free? It may very well because of it. It's Free Talk Live. What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin, but imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. SaveItPurse.com. You've said it yourself. We need a healthcare system that focuses on health, not sickness. Health insurance pays for treating sickness but gives you nothing for being healthy. There's a free market healthcare company that gives you freedom from health insurance. They give you a proactive health assessment daily, no charge 24-hour access to doctors. Check them out right now at healthexcellenceselect.com. Any kind of doctor, traditional, integrative, chiropractic, acupuncture, and massage. You'll love the service and price. healthexcellenceselect.com. healthexcellenceselect.com.
Are you feeling embarrassed or stuck because you can't focus or concentrate? I have a confession to make. I spent years unable to think clearly, like I was in a fog. I was going through the motions, running my companies, and I hated feeling mentally sluggish. I couldn't get ahead like this. It's no secret. The powers that be want us dumbed down. Chemicals, fluoride. Our brains are under siege, and we are experiencing lower IQs. But now there is a weapon to fight back and win. Introducing DNA Evolve, a revolutionary breakthrough in a category of cognitive enhancers called nootropics. I've been using DNA Evolve and couldn't feel better. For me, it works. It feels great to get things done again and get ahead. Try a free sample for yourself at DNAEvolvesample.com. That's DNAEvolvesample.com. Supplies are limited, so go to DNAEvolvesample.com right now.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
On the second Saturday of every month, the Texas Republic Congress meets in a joint session. To learn how you can attend or become a member of Congress, visit thetexasrepublic.com. And together, we can liberate Texas.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You may take control of the airwaves here and bring up anything you want. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Apparently, there is a Trump advisor, Mark Jameson, who is named to Trump's tech policy transition team, who's asking the question, does the need for an independent communications agency still exist? Do we need the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission? With you tonight, by the way, it's Ian.
It's Vincent.
If you've got Bitcoin, I want you to check out and download the official wallet of Free Talk Live. It's Jaxx, JAXX.io. You can go and get it there or at the Google or Apple App Store. It's cross-platform, by the way, which is one of the coolest features about Jaxx. It's not just stuck on your phone. You can use it on your Windows, Linux, or Apple Macintosh machine, and that is amazing because it means you have access to your Bitcoin as well as other cryptocurrencies. So some of the competitors to Bitcoin, you have access to it on whatever platform you happen to be on at the moment. So your smartphone, your tablet, your laptop, Jaxx will work for you, likely. Go to jaxx.io, JAXX.io. That also has Shapeshift integration built right in, which means you can exchange from one currency to another in the app. You don't have to go outside of the app to do that, which is awesome. It was created by Anthony DiOrio. He's a Free Talk Live listener and the founder of, or one of the founders of, Ethereum. It's easy to back up your wallet, so if you lose your phone, not a problem with Jaxx. They're striving to give you command over your digital life, coins, contracts, currencies, identity, and more. It's your digital command center in the palm of your hand. Jaxx, the official wallet of Free Talk Live, at jaxx.io. More about the FCC coming up here in moments. Right now, though, Sarah is still on the line in Albuquerque. She's called to, yet again, laud a murderer and a torturer, and also somebody who's anti-business. As you just called up, you were pointing out that Fidel Castro threw out productive businesses from Cuba when his revolution happened, and you were saying that that's somehow a good thing. Can you explain that to me, please?
Yes. Well, under communism, there is no capitalist. And capitalism, so the resorts and the casinos, they were American capitalists. And what was going on is that he was actually the poor people would be oppressed and exploited, and he would defend them in court as a lawyer, and they would lose. And it got to the point where he picked up a gun and decided to have a revolution and threw all of them out. And as you know, that they were shooting the tourists out of the resort. They want them all out. They want them gone, and they have done it, and they were successful.
Yeah, and
so
the people have been in poverty. I mean, it wasn't great before Castro, but their lives haven't really improved in any marked way for decades. I mean, they're still driving cars from the 50s.
But they're vintage cars, Ian.
Yeah, I have noticed that. And something was funny is that I used to remember, those old movies like in the 1945s. I mean, the film, it was filmed actually in Havana, Cuba, with the ladies singing with the fruits piled on top of the head. And I didn't know exactly where they were because they were filmed around swimming pools. They were drinking martinis and all this entertainment. And that was actually Havana, Cuba. So that's what it was like until before the revolution.
And so then we got rid of all the swimming pools, no more martinis, nobody else is allowed to have a nice vacation. I mean, come on. Are you trying to tell me this is a paradise?
No, but see, they're using their women as prostitutes. They would use them for.
You don't think that happened under Fidel Castro? You do understand that under Fidel Castro, you couldn't start your own business. You understand that, right? So if you can't legally start your own business, you can't go and open up a bakery or a maid's service or whatever, then that's going to lead women to turn to prostitution. You get that, don't you?
No, I'm talking about when they had the resorts, the American tourists and the business, they were exploiting the women. So
that's ridiculous.
That was happening before the revolution.
That's ridiculous. To say that a woman who's a prostitute is being exploited suggests that she isn't in control of her own faculties, that she's not the one making that decision. It's one thing if someone is a sex slave. It's another thing if someone chooses to be a prostitute from their own volition.
Well, I don't know.
Are all prostitutes exploited in your mind, Sarah? Are they all being exploited?
Well, I mean, some of it is voluntary, but they were they would come there to tour just to exploit women. And so,
what does it mean to exploit? What does it mean to exploit a prostitute? Can you tell me that? Because the man is getting money taken from him for that service. So how is that exploitation?
But it's just the attitude.
You know what? It's an honest thing to be able to say you don't know something. So when you on one hand say it's exploitation, but then when I ask you how it's exploitation, you say you don't know, that means you can't say it's exploitation, okay? Because if you don't know how it's exploitation, you can't actually make a definitive statement saying that it is exploitation. That's dishonest. It's an intellectual dishonesty.
Wait a minute. Get back to why they were doing so badly was that because they had so much sanctions against Cuba. So before the sanctions, they had the free medical care. I know the state owned everything. Nobody owned everything. The state owned it. But you say that there was no business, but they had free health care, free education.
The health care was garbage. It was garbage. If you get free health care but you die, then what good is it?
Well, the thing about it is, like I said, but it wasn't whether how good it was or bad it was. The fact was that the doctors
says Sarah, who is firmly ensconced within the United States political system, where the health care is actually pretty decent in comparison to Cuba. I mean, honestly, you don't know what you're talking about, and I don't either because I've never been to Cuba. You know why? Because the U.S. federal government prohibits that.
That's right. They don't want you to go down there. What do you think they don't want you to go down there? Because you'll find out they have free education, free health care, and nobody.
I've had relatives who've been to Cuba. They're Canadian, so they're allowed to go to Cuba. I've had relatives, and they said they are only allowed to stay in the resort areas. And they said it's very nice in the resort areas, but I don't remember them saying, hey, we should bring our kids here and have them stay and go to school and get health care here.
I mean, come on. Do you want to eat some eggshells? Go down to Cuba and stay for a while. You'll be lucky if you can, put together a bowl of soup after a while.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just want to add one more thing is that, President Obama was communist, but he was for same-sex marriage. So if we have communism incorporated into America, we could have our own version of it.
You mean you're referencing how Fidel Castro murdered gay people? Thanks for the call, Sarah. Appreciate it. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. I still haven't gotten into that story, by the way. I've been sitting on it for a few days. Whenever Sarah calls in, we're in the middle of something else, and we just never have gotten to Fidel Castro's horrific record on gay rights. I think it's an important story, especially for people who are on the left, who historically are supporters of gay rights, and simultaneously supporting Fidel Castro, who probably don't realize how much of an absolute tyrant sicko that this guy was.
Well, do you want to do that story now, or do you want to continue?
We can. I want to get back to the FCC.
I will say I do agree one thing with Sarah, and that Obama is a communist.
Yeah, he probably is. He's not going to admit it, but he likely is. Toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And it's probably better than eggshell soup in Cuba right now, since Raul Castro took the reins of power in around 2008. There have been some economic reforms that have been positive for the country, allowing people to actually own and start their own businesses for the first time in ever. So that's a good thing, allowing farmers to decide their own crops rather than having them be centrally decided by the Cuban state. That's a good thing. And those are only two of the things I've heard of. I know there have been a few others. And there may be more reforms like that coming now that Fidel is dead. Don't get your hopes up too much that it's become, it's not going to become a bastion of freedom, but at the very least there might not be as dismal of a circumstance down there with this new change. 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Do we need the FCC? We can talk about that coming up.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson. I'm here to tell you about GCNtelecare.com, a team of board-certified doctors assisting you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Within 15 minutes of registration, care your family can afford. Revolutionizing the healthcare industry, virtual consulting providing diagnosis of non-emergency medical issues by phone or secure video on computer or smart mobile devices. GCNtelecare.com. Virtual care anywhere.
If you or someone you care about loves outdoor adventure, then check out slingbow.com for some unique holiday gift ideas. That's slingbow.com, where we have some innovative new products for the archer, hunter, or bow fishing enthusiast in your family. Now through January, use the promo code HOLIDAY to get free shipping in the U.S. or Canada. And from all of us at Slingbow Industries, have a safe, joyous, and peaceful holiday season.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. Has this election season gotten you excited about the Libertarian Party? Has it gotten you mad? Do you want to see more candidates like Gary Johnson? Or do you want to see hardline libertarians? Either way, you don't have to sit on the sidelines and complain. You can make a difference by getting involved. Free Talk Live has, believe it or not, negotiated a free membership for you in the Libertarian Party at lp.org/FTL. This is a limited time offer, so go sign up for your free membership now at lp.org/FTL.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit, did your nerves spike? You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719. That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Talk Live, you are invited to join us here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And we've got Skype as well. The Skype username is lrn.fm. How'd you like to try what may be the best pillow you'll ever use? Risk-free for 60 days, or darn near risk-free. I mean, if you don't like it, you can send back my pillow, and they'll give you your money back, but you still got to pay the shipping to send it back. But they're pretty sure that you're going to like it because they're putting that 60-day guarantee on it. It's also got a 10-year warranty on the product as well. Of course, you get to try it by going to mypillow.com and then use code FTL to get the special offer of one pillow at half price or two for the price of one. So it's up to you how many MyPillows you want. You get a great deal with code FTL at mypillow.com. Unlike a regular pillow that collects a bunch of dead skin and dirt over the years, you can actually wash MyPillow. You can put it in your washer and your dryer. It's designed for that, and it works great. mypillow.com, code FTL. That's the pillow that I use. I've had one now for probably more than a half a year, and it's been fantastic. mypillow.com. Code FTL, like Free Talk Live. As we continue here with you tonight, you've got Ian
and Vincent.
We've been discussing the FCC. Would come back around to a piece that was linked to by the Washington Post, and the piece is over at techpolicydaily.com by a man named Mark Jameson, who has been appointed by Donald Trump to the Tech Policy Transition Team. And, you know, I'm giving credit where credit's due here. This is a good idea. And I'm not expecting that it's going to go anywhere because federal bureaucracies are not known for just packing up shop and disappearing. So I don't expect that this is going to come to fruition. But nonetheless, this guy is saying, hey, why do we even have this agency around anymore? What's the point of them? The next part of his article here, after asking why was the FCC created in the first place, he says it was originally intended to create a regulatory environment where businesses can make good investment decisions, but it's ended up being a political tool of the various different administrations that have taken over during its existence. And so that the fact that it's this political tool means that investors aren't going to take the kind of risks that they might otherwise take and get into to broadcasting. So he asks, well, does the need for such an independent communications agency still exist? He says most of the original motivations for the FCC have gone away. Telecommunications network providers and ISPs are rarely, if ever, monopolies. If there are instances where they are monopolies, it would seem overkill to have an entire federal agency dedicated to ex-ante regulation of their services. A well-functioning Federal Trade Commission, in conjunction with state authorities, can handle consumer protection and anti-competitive conduct issues. Content on the web competes well with content provided by broadcasters, seeming to eliminate any need for FCC oversight of broadcasters. And thankfully, by the way, you know, as a side here, thankfully no one has called for the FCC to regulate internet content. It would, first of all, be impossible because the FCC can't easily track down the location of someone who's creating an internet stream. If that internet stream is originating from a foreign country, there's nothing they can do about it.
I have heard, sorry to interrupt, I have heard people talking about the UN giving the UN control of some of the internets and having them regulate it.
Well, I mean, but still, even if the UN were to do that, the difficulty of actually, an enforcement mechanism against broadcasters on the internet is a lot different than the FCC showing up with a truck or 3 trucks and triangulating a broadcast signal. It's a whole other story to try to track down the, tens of thousands of broadcasters on the internet. I mean, if you've ever looked at an internet radio before, like was it Recuva? Or Receiva. Receiva is the company that their job is to basically catalog as many internet, like active internet feeds that they can find. So there's actually an internet radio in the studio kitchen here. If you were to actually go through their list of stations, it would take you all day. I mean, there are so many different categories, genres, broadcasts. It would be a very Herculean task to try to take any kind of regulatory control of that. I mean, that cat is out of the bag, basically, and I think the government knows it, which is why no one's even bothering to propose the FCC to have oversight over internet broadcasting. So anyway, he says that, again, internet content competes well with the content provided by licensed broadcasters. He says perhaps there is need for rules for use of the airwaves during times of an emergency, but that can be handled without regulating the content providers themselves. The only FCC activity that would seem to warrant having an independent agency is the licensing of radio spectrum. And I'm bummed to hear him say that. Political interference in spectrum licenses would at least dampen investment and could lead to rampant corruption in the form of valuable spectrum space being effectively handed out to political cronies. So it sounds like he's advocating that the FCC hasn't done a good job at allocating the spectrum. And ultimately, that was one of the original reasons they were created was, well, we've got this new thing called radio, and what are we going to do if 2 people want to broadcast at the same place at the same time? Well, it would seem as though the court system could handle those complaints. Oh, what's that, Vincent? You've turned on a radio transmitter in Keene, New Hampshire on an open space in the dial. Okay, that makes sense. You've homesteaded that area and that broadcast zone. Then, if I turn on a radio transmitter on the same space on the dial in the same town, it's pretty clear that I'm trying to interfere with you, right? Like, if you're doing a little bit of engineering, a little studying of the broadcast spectrum, the first thing you want to do is see where there are the open spaces, because you don't want to step on another signal. It's going to mean that you're not going to be able to reach an audience because both signals will be clashing with one another, and it'll be just a mess to listen to.
Like a self-interest sort of thing.
Sure, it is your self-interest to broadcast on a clear channel. So then the only person who would be broadcasting on a channel that already has an operator on it would be someone who wants to purposely interfere with that person, and that would be a violation of their property rights in that case because they homesteaded that property. So, I mean, it's not hard to figure out that bandwidth allocation could be done without the help of a federal centralized bureaucracy. Now, from a larger perspective, there is the question of, well, who decides what type of radio or television goes where, because that's the other thing they do. So they've decided by arbitrary standards that the FM band should be between 87 megahertz and 108 megahertz. Why did they choose those that frequency range? Why hasn't it expanded or whatever? If it were the marketplace, we don't know how that would end up looking, but you can better believe it would probably be more efficiently allocated than whatever the centralized bureaucracy is going to do. And the FCC also uses that bandwidth to enrich themselves. So if you're familiar, there was something, the old rabbit ears. You ever seen a pair of rabbit ears
on
a television? Well, these days the rabbit ears aren't what they used to be. I don't even know if they exist anymore. Maybe there's a digital version of them. But
at one point, you needed a box to be able to continue using your Rabbit Ears TV.
Correct.
But I don't even know if that works anymore.
Yeah, you're talking about the transition to digital television, where the FCC decided to force down the throats of all Americans and the broadcasters this new digital television standard for standard definition and high definition. And they arbitrarily picked a standard, and they said, all right, everybody, you've got this amount of time to make the switch over to this new standard, or else people won't be able to watch you anymore. And so the idea there was not necessarily to make things better, but for people. But the idea, because it was expensive for these broadcast stations to flip over, if there was a small broadcaster that really wasn't making a whole lot of money to spend the millions of dollars it would take to get this new equipment and retrofit their studios, could have put them out of business. But aside from that, The real motivation of the FCC in that case was the old television channels would take up a very large swath of bandwidth because the analog transmission methods aren't as efficient as digital transmission. So the market would likely go to digital transmission on its own, but the FCC forced it on people. And the reason why was once the spectrum got freed up, the FCC auctioned it. So, we got all this extra bandwidth now? All right, let's take bids. Google, AT&T, Verizon, who wants this space? Go ahead, top dollar gets
They
it.
make the money, and we still have to pay taxes for their budget.
That's right. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, so they're raking in the dough over there. But what are they really providing in the way of a valuable service to you and I and people in business? 855-450-FREE. Will they go away under the Trump administration? Don't get your hopes up.
Warning. If you're drowning in debt you can't afford, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to pay it all back, because you don't. What the credit card companies don't want you to know is that there's actually a way to get debt-free without paying off your entire debt or going bankrupt. If you have $5,000 or more in credit card debt, you now have the right to settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. For free information, call Credit Associates now. 1-800-959-5928. We'll even show you how much money you could save. If you can't afford to pay off all your debt, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to. Call Credit Associates now for free information on how to get debt-free faster than you ever thought possible without debt consolidation or bankruptcy. We depend on your success and offer a guarantee, so there's no risk. For free information, call now. 1-800-959-5928. That's 1-800-959-5928. 1-800-959-5928.
Dangerous blood clot device alert. If you or a loved one had an IVC filter placed to prevent blood clots from traveling to your heart or lungs and suffered an injury, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. The FDA warns that IVC filters may cause serious complications, such as heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, and even death. These dangerous blood clot devices can break, and the metal fragments can travel to your heart or lungs, causing serious injuries. If you or a loved one suffered organ damage or other injuries from an IVC filter, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. This is an advertisement. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. InjuryHelpDesk.com is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Ross Ulbricht was sentenced to life in prison for operating the Silk Road. That's not the end of the story. Ross is trying to get out, but he needs your help. The free Rossathon is happening Sunday, December 4th from 2 to 10 p.m. Eastern, featuring Roger Ver, Cody Wilson, Doug Casey, Tom Woods, and dozens of equally seditious speakers. Go to freeross.org right now and register for this free event. It's a fundraiser for Ross's appeal, so prepare to be inspired. freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live, and you're invited here. You can dial in toll-free and take control of these airwaves. Our number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype, and the Skype username is lrn.fm. With you in studio, it's Ian.
And Vincent.
And don't forget, if you like what we're doing on Free Talk Live, then it's shopping season, so go and get your shopping done with us. Just go to shop.freetalklive.com. And there are links there to Amazon as well as Walmart even. You can click on the appropriate link for you. So there's Amazon UK, Amazon Canada, and Amazon US. You just go into the right Amazon and then just get your shopping taken care of. Get whatever it is that you need or whatever it is you want to buy for your friends or your family members. Have it delivered right to your door or to their door, and Free Talk Live gets a cut of the sale. It's really a great deal. It's a win-win for everybody. You get the same great Amazon selection and prices that you're used to, and we get a cut of Amazon's profits. So there's really no reason not to do it. Go to shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com. Is the FCC really even necessary at this point? One of the Trump advisors is saying he doesn't really think so. We'll get into the rest of that story here in his opinion piece. But first, Tom is on the air with us in Nashua, New Hampshire, listening online at freetalklive.com. Go ahead, Tom.
One thing I noticed during the ice storm, going back a few years, I wanted some information. So I went out to my car, I turned on the radio, and some stations were off the air because of the power failure.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to tune in a rock and roll station, and much to my dismay, they were playing rock and roll instead of telling everybody what's going on. I mean, this is an emergency, and all these places are out of power, and they're, during emergencies, I think whether a radio station is doing it voluntarily or otherwise, like a 9/11, the radio is the perfect medium to reach people. Just for example, let's say you need ambulances. Which streets they can go down to reach ground zero, and which streets have to be kept open to get people out of there, and stuff like that. You can broadcast to these distant ambulances, which avenue, come on down Lexington Avenue and go back.
Ambulances
down
have their
Avenue
own two-way radios, so you don't need to put that on broadcast radio for the average person to listen to. But I do understand what you're saying, where there are stations that in an emergency seem to be completely oblivious to what it is that's going on. The program director is doesn't think it's his job to handle emergencies. I program music and I'm too busy to get in there and do any special coverage or whatever. Radio budgets have been cut over the years, so they've pared down to a skeleton crew at a lot of stations. At a lot of stations, it's basically an automated system where a disc jockey will come in, record their shift, and then leave, and there's absolutely no one in the studio. They couldn't take a phone call if anyone was calling in with some sort of news about an emergency or an update. There's not even anybody there at the studio. So ultimately, what you're talking about is something that would be solved by a marketplace of open competition. If there were more competitors in the given area that could be free to get into the business of radio, then you would probably find some people who are really dedicated to the craft of, hey, we want to keep our community informed about what's going on here, which was kind of the original point of radio stations, was to be this public service, and it's really fallen far away from that.
Now, let me ask you, when can I get a slot on Free Talk Live?
A slot?
Yeah, I mean, you know how you got people coming, different hosts. When can I get a turn, be in the rotation?
Well, you'd have to not be a bigot first, so that would be pretty helpful. Let's see, you're a homophobe, number one, and generally, that's pretty distasteful to me. So I'm not interested in giving you any more airtime than the average person.
I just don't like queers.
Okay, that's the same thing. Thanks for the call tonight.
You knew that. Oh, I didn't know you knew that guy. Okay.
I don't know him personally.
He's called before.
I've met him before. He has, he's in Nashua, so he's close by. But he's been to the Free State Project Liberty Forum events as an attendee before, and so I used to run tables at that event, and so I've met him a couple of times.
Okay, you caught me off surprised by that. I was just like, whoa.
He's a former state rep who I believe resigned after he was embarrassed over some. I forget what the hell happened. Some kind of sexual comments or situation.
Well, New Hampshire state reps have done much worse recently.
If you want to know more about him, search for Tom Alcier. That's who he is. So he's not a private person. He's a publicly known person. So I'm not outing him.
No. I was just surprised that you just caught me off guard.
Yeah. No, he's also a longtime caller of this show. He's called many a times, and sometimes. Oh, and he's also an advocate of killing cops, which isn't uncommon for hosts on Free Talk Live. Melanie is one of those right now. But I'm willing to have that conversation with her because I know that she is generally a pretty principled individual besides that. Our toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. And you don't have to agree with Ian Freeman or Mark Edge or Daryl Perry to be on the show. Vincent, you and I don't agree on everything. You said you support the night watchman state, and that's a whole conversation we could have about, why I'm against the idea of the state entirely. So you don't have to tote the line or anything like that to be here on Free Talk Live. But I think being a generally good person is a good reason to have somebody on, and I don't consider Tom to be a very good person.
And, we all have our own prejudices and such, but it's just keeping them private and having them, public and making it a subject of, public discourse and policy is certainly different.
Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Let's go to Richard. I'm not sure where he's calling from, but he's on Skype. Hello, Richard.
Hi, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, great. You're on with Ian and Vincent.
All right. I wanted to talk a little bit about the FCC from the standpoint of putting up my own LRN broadcast station. And I know since you've got all that experience in broadcasting, do you know of any open source software that can be used to help do that? No, I'm not really talking about what I'm talking about is kind of the programming software that you guys use to program your station. If there are any shows that I want to put out or that I don't want to put out there, I want to replace a segment with my own or something of that nature. That's the kind of software I'm looking to use.
So you're looking for what's called automation software, radio automation software?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know offhand of what open source options there are. I suspect that such a thing does exist, but honestly, I couldn't tell you where to start looking besides Google. There are free radio automation softwares, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they are open source. So one of them that I'm aware of is called Zara Radio, Z-A-R-A Radio. That's a free piece of software, but again, they want you to purchase their extended edition or the professional edition or whatever. But I'm sure there are more options out there, and there may be one on Linux. I am only aware of some of the options for Windows. And you're probably not going to have the full range of abilities in free software because there's a lot of stuff that is pretty specific to the broadcast trade that they may not cover. But I would say just start your research somewhere else. I wish there was more that I could say to suggest that. I can tell you that over at the LRN.FM website, there are pages dedicated, or is one page in specific to that is dedicated to people who want to broadcast our signal, and that is something that can be done, and it can be done relatively affordably. We make some specific suggestions on possible hardware and things like that. But as far as software is concerned,
that is a good resource, and that's kind of what's got me started with this idea. But since you were talking about the FCC, I thought I would call in and ask about it. The other thing is, with regard to the spectrum, I can see that the FCC does play somewhat of a useful role, but it can be done much better than the federal government can do it through just having public auction rather than it being a crony auction. It could be a public auction where the space is auctioned off for the spectrum. But your idea of a homestead is another good example of a way that could be done that doesn't require the federal government to be involved.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to have to wait around for whenever the auction time frames would be either. I mean, because who knows how often those would be. Just like with the FCC, they only have a certain time window where they'll open up and accept applications. Same thing could be true of these auctions, unless they're fairly often. Who knows? I mean, you shouldn't even have to ask anyone's permission. If there's an open space, you should be able to just go set up a transmitter.
It's a good first start, though.
It would be an improvement. I'll definitely give you that. Richard, anything else you want to share tonight? Go ahead.
Only one brief thing, and that is when you were talking to Sarah earlier, I really liked the way that you did it because you were firm and yet you were very logical in what you said, and you challenged her. I don't know if it'll do her any good or
Doubtful.
not, because I don't think she. Yeah, same here.
She doesn't seem to really process the questions that we ask her. Her answer to every question is to just continue on with whatever her point was. So she doesn't really listen.
At least she pauses to give you that opportunity to make the case.
So
I
true.
really like it, and I appreciate the way that you did that. So
Thanks,
that's all I have.
Richard. I appreciate your call tonight, man, and good luck with the station. And if you do find something, feel free to shoot me an email and let me know what really cool open source stuff there is, because I might be interested in implementing it. Zara Radio leaves a few things to be desired. Hey, thanks for the call here tonight. Although we are using behind the scenes a professional automation system, I do use the Zara Radio for a couple of tasks. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We still have a full hour to go. More on the FDA if we get a chance. Castro, cannabis in Canada. Lots of stuff to talk about, but you can join us here on Free Talk Live. Do you need a website for your blog or new business? It can be pretty intimidating on your own, and that's why Free Talk Live has partnered with HostGator, one of the top hosting companies. HostGator offers a simple one-click, easy installation for WordPress, 24/7 over-the-phone or live chat tech support, and a very intuitive, user-friendly control panel that puts the power of creation back into your hands. Go to HostGator.com/FTL, and you'll get 50% off of their regular hosting prices. 50% off. HostGator.com/FTL.
A funny thing happens when you don't advertise. Nothing. Modern advertisers have been trained to look for trackability in their advertising, and web search ads are great for that. They also help you get the consumer that's looking for products like yours in the moment. But they're expensive, and they do nothing to convince people to try your product segment in the first place. If you're a local advertiser, contact this station. If you can use national exposure, Free Talk Live's on more than 150 stations, and we can help advertisers with little budgets and big ones. Send me an email, mark@freetalklive.com. It's mark@freetalklive.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Tuesday, gold is $4 lower at $1,189 per ounce. Silver is down 9 cents at $16.57 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $731 US. This is your last chance to get 2016 Silver American Eagles, and fortunately for buyers, prices are very low. To get yours today, call us at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, November 29th, 2016. Silver is trading at $16.49 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,183 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 1.8 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $737. Antiwar.com reports the International Criminal Court's investigation into myriad U.S. torture programs the world over has rested on the fact that the U.S. government is not doing anything to punish any of those involved in the crimes. One lawsuit is continuing to slowly advance, however. Dr. James E. Mitchell and Bruce Jessen, a pair of contracted psychologists, were hired by the Bush administration to design and run the entire torture program. Mitchell has even written a book bragging of his involvement and the fact that they both got medals from the CIA for their services. Their defense is built around the idea that they acted with government permission in committing these crimes and seems to rest heavily on the ability to get current government support in suppressing classified evidence of all the sordid details. While President Obama spent the last 8 years admitting we tortured some folks and shirking responsibility for it, experts are saying it is likely to rest on President-elect Donald Trump whether to claim state secrets to block this particular civil case from going further. While Trump campaigned on the idea of returning to to the days of torture, it is not clear he's going to be on board with using the state secrets claim to cover up the torture of the past. This is particularly true because he previously presented the torturing as something of a badge of honor for the U.S. and the recent lack as a sign of weakness. Trump is also said to be souring on the return to torture after discussions with General James Mattis, and that could also change things. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports President Barack Obama leaves office with the highest approval rating in 4 years, according to a Quinnipiac University survey released on Monday. A majority of respondents called Obama a great or good president. 22% called him great and 33% called him good, compared to 23% who rated him not so good and 22% calling him bad. Respondents, by a margin of 44% to 38%, said Obama's policies have helped the country, the rest saying they had no effect. 21% said the policies have helped them financially, while 33% said they were personally hurt, and 44% said they saw no difference. The results are Obama's most favorable rating since immediately after his 2012 re-election. The poll also found that both the Democratic and Republican parties had negative favorability ratings, but for the first time in 2 years, the GOP's rating was better than that of the Democrats. The Republican Party was regarded as 38% favorable and 50% unfavorable by the respondents. The Democratic Party received ratings of 35% favorable and 60% unfavorable. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs offers premium publicity campaigns designed to facilitate an organization's adoption of Bitcoin as a payment system and to fully capitalize on that decision in their fundraising efforts. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com. Reuters reports North Dakota's governor on Monday ordered the expulsion of protesters camped on federal property near the site of the oil pipeline project they oppose, saying the emergency evacuation was necessary to protect them from harsh winter conditions. The executive order from Governor Jack Dalrymple came 2 days after the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers said it would close public access to the main protest encampment about 30 miles south of Bismarck, setting a December 5th deadline for demonstrators opposed to the Dakota Access Pipeline to leave the area. Demonstrators have protested the Dakota Access Pipeline for months, saying it poses a threat to water resources and to sacred Native American sites. Police drew condemnation from the American Civil Liberties Union and others last week when they used water hoses in below-freezing weather in an attempt to disperse about 400 activists near the proposed tunnel excavation site. Activists protesting the pipeline have vowed to continue their resistance. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
The Onion looks back at This Week in History. On July 17, 1980, Ronald Reagan accepted the nomination for president at the Republican National Convention in Detroit and delivered a speech in which he boldly promised that during his presidency, someone would body slam Andre the Giant. While admitting that the road would be long and hard and that it might take as long as 7 years and 2 WrestleManias to get there, the former California governor vowed that under his administration, somebody, perhaps Ricky the Dragon Steamboat or a hulked-up Hulk Hogan, would grab hold of the 500-pound behemoth and send his massive body smashing to the mat. The Republican nominee also went on to promise that by the end of his first term, Joni would marry Chachi, hair metal would achieve mainstream airplay, and Shelley Long would successfully make the leap from television to film.
This is the Onion News Network.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join us.
Free Talk Live.
Our toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. More about the FCC. A Trump advisor is saying that maybe it shouldn't even exist. And I got to say, I agree. So a little credit where credit's due. Sometimes the Trump campaign will get things right. Unfortunately, they're wrong on a bunch of stuff. But, I'll give credit where credit's due. With you tonight, it's Ian.
It's Vincent.
We're going to go right to your calls, your thoughts here, though. You can take control of the airwaves and bring up anything you want. Let's go to Jack, listening in Jackson, in Michigan, to WKHM. Hey, Jack.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Sure.
I spoke with you gentlemen and I think a young lady last evening, and I expressed that I was just a new listener, and first time caller. And you had invited me to call back in tonight.
Yeah, because it was right at the end of the show, and it's always hard to have any kind of meaningful conversation in 2 minutes.
Sure. Yeah, so you had invited me back to base. I said that I was just kind of learning about libertarianism, and I think you said it'd be interesting to go down that path to just to educate me and maybe other people that are in similar situations. Just kind of have our feelers out there. I did a little homework. I pulled up a libertarian website just to kind of read what the core beliefs are, maybe the playbook, if you will, if that's an okay term.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, looks good.
Well, tell me this. How did you even find out about libertarianism in the first place? What was the first thing that kind of clued you into the fact that it's a thing or that it exists?
Well, according to the definition, I guess it would be stumbling across your radio show.
Okay.
I work nights, and so I'm by myself. The radio keeps me company, and I get your show from 9 to 10 where I'm at only. So I just started listening to the show. A lot of what you folks have to say I would agree with. Some things not quite as much, but of course, that's going to happen with any
that's okay.
political faction.
I don't agree with Vincent on everything, and he's sitting in the studio with me here, so...
Yeah, and that'd be strange if everybody agreed on everything.
Life would be boring if everyone agreed on everything. What would the point be?
Yeah. Yeah, so just listening, and then a lot of the views are things. I'm an evangelical Christian, actually.
Okay.
And I believe in liberty. I believe, unlike, I think a lot of Christians have got a bad name as far as people like to throw out buzzwords like hateful and those kinds of things, and I think that's very undeserved as far as the teachings of Christ go. But I believe that everybody should be free to pursue the liberty for themselves. I also believe that liberty can be a state of mind regardless of our circumstances, and so that's where my Christian beliefs would come from. We're taught that even slaves and masters, regardless of our situation, we're still responsible for our own thoughts, our own ideas, and our own actions, and that we're just responsible for our behaviors when it.
Well, that's part and parcel of the libertarian message. Generally, that in order to have liberty, you do need to have responsibility. So they tend to go hand in hand. And generally, libertarians believe that you should be free to live your life how you want, so long as you don't hurt anybody else. That's kind of it in a nutshell. And I think most people. Most people agree with that. They don't know necessarily what a libertarian is, but I think most people sort of behave in that way generally in their own personal lives. When things go wrong is when they start to think about how to control their neighbors. So, on one hand, a lot of people want to be free themselves, but on the other hand, they see their neighbors doing things that they wouldn't do with their freedom, and they think, oh, well, they shouldn't be able to do that. And then, that opens the Pandora's box of wanting to control your neighbors' lives only results in you ending up being controlled. So that seeking of power over others results in just more and more freedoms being taken away from everyone over time, and we're all worse off and impoverished for it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I just kind of browsed through, like I said, this libertarian. I had a question. I'm not prepared to have a real long conversation. Maybe again, I'm new, and maybe ignorant to some of these things. But if magic, this is a hypothetical. If magically libertarianism just was the norm tomorrow, libertarian president, and you start, how would that deal with some of the issues that we already have? And I guess my thought would be, how would we deal with things like poverty? I understand free market, and I agree with free market that would, in the long run, be beneficial for societies as well as for individuals and for businesses. But how would that deal with the problem of people that are already in the gutter, so to speak.
Sure. Well, we already know. We already know that the government does a pretty terrible job of helping poor people, because the government welfare programs, for the most part, are almost like a benefit for the middle class bureaucrats who run the program. I mean, they're siphoning off 60% of the operating budget, and then only 30% or whatever is going to the actual recipients, many of whom arguably don't deserve the money because they're just working the system and abusing the opportunities there. So right from the get-go, the government has failed at eliminating poverty, and it has done the opposite instead of its intentions, which is to enshrine poverty and ensure that people continue to stay ensconced within the welfare system. If, on the other hand, you look at private charities, you'll see a much more efficient model of setup, where your average private charity is probably the reverse of the government percentages. So instead of 30% going to the operating costs after the employees take 60%, the private the nonprofits, the charity groups, they're likely spending 60% or 70% on their recipients and only 30% on overhead costs for the operation. So it's a much more efficient. And one of the reasons why it's more efficient is because it's subject to competition. There are other charities in the marketplace who will say, oh, well, we're doing this better over here, or we're doing this with this religious belief over here, or, here's why you should support us as opposed to these other groups. And that means that there's competition for the charitable dollar, and so those organizations have to be efficient. They have to be lean. Otherwise, they're going to lose their donations, especially if news comes out. As I remember, I think it was like Bono from U2.
Oh yeah, that was disgusting.
Who he had some charity, and the news came out. They looked at the numbers and they found that like 95% of the budget was going to overhead, and 5% was actually getting paid out to the recipients. And it was like, that's going to kill a charity right there if they are that inefficient. Whereas the government never ends. They don't. It doesn't matter how inefficient they are, or how stupid they are. Yeah. They keep getting the money year after year. So if you think about that, if you were to take all the money that is being spent on government welfare programs and eliminate all of those programs and let the marketplace and charities in the marketplace handle these things, then you could probably have 1/8 or a 1/6 or a quarter of the same amount of money go to those charities and help as many people, because they're that much more efficient.
Sure, and I believe that free market does breed competition, which breeds efficiency.
Right.
My second question, and I thank you for that insight. My second question would be, read that along the lines of bigotry. Now, in this day and age, in this culture and society, if somebody of religious conviction, whether it be a Muslim or Christian or otherwise, owns a business, and they do not want to provide services for things that conflict with their belief, how does the gay wedding cake scenario comes to mind? You know what I'm talking about. How does libertarianism look, and I know this is maybe general, but how does it look at that? As a business owner, should that business owner be free to offer his services to basically discriminate? I'm not saying that that's good or bad, but that's what we're doing.
The libertarian perspective says let the market decide. So if somebody is a business owner and they don't like a certain type of person, or they're bigot in some way, shape, or form, or
right or wrong, and I'm not saying it's right.
Yeah, and I would say it's wrong. And so the way I would deal with that is, if I found out there was somebody who was being awful towards a certain group of people in their business, I would spread the word that, hey, don't get your cakes made over at so-and-so's cake shop because they're an a-hole. And, I'd get the word spread around. You could put up a website about it. You could, you can do different things.
Let me ask you this. Is it, in fact, awful to refuse services to somebody based on religious conviction? You use the word awful. I'm not saying that you want to be hateful to that person, but just to respectfully say that I don't want to support this decision.
I think there's a way to do it respectfully. Yeah, I think there's a way to do it respectfully, and then there's a way to be an a-hole about it. But regardless, I would want to do business with the people who are accepting of all clients. That's just my preference, and let the market decide. Jack, if you want to continue the discussion, stand by. We'll bring it back. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. But yeah, let the market decide how those things work out.
Today, how to incorporate your business in just 10 minutes so you won't lose everything if you get sued. Step 1, stop putting it off. If you're not incorporated and someone sues your business tomorrow, it's not just your business at risk. You can lose everything: your home, your car, even your life savings. Step 2. Call the following number for a free 10-minute incorporation guide from Incorporate.com. 1-800-945-1063. They don't provide legal or financial advice. They just make incorporating quick and easy. So you can incorporate or form an LLC in just 10 minutes. That number again is 1-800-945-1063. Step 3. Congratulate yourself. By taking just 10 minutes to incorporate your business or form an LLC, you protected your home, your car, and your life savings. And that is how you incorporate your business in just 10 minutes. But hurry while they're still giving away these 10-minute incorporation guides for free. Call 1-800-945-1063. That's 1-800-945-1063.
Are you worried about your mom or dad living alone in their house? Hi, I'm Joan London. Listen, I know how difficult it is to find senior care for someone you love. That's why I recommend a free service called A Place for Mom. They are the nation's largest senior living referral service. Call A Place for Mom today.
To receive free information on senior living communities in your area, call A Place for Mom at 1-800-704-6182.
A Place for Mom offers free one-on-one advice from local advisors and a personalized list of senior living communities you can visit. If you have questions about senior care for your mom or dad, there's a place for answers, A Place for Mom.
Call A Place for Mom in the next 10 minutes to get your free ebook on financing senior care as well as free information on senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-704-6182. That's 1-800-704-6182.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. You may already know about the Free Talk Live audio-on-demand phone line at 641-793-9660. Did you know that not only can you listen to Free Talk Live via your phone, you can also leave a message and have it delivered to Free Talk Live's hosts? To leave us your thoughts, just dial 641-793-9660. That's 641-793-9660. Press 2 for Free Talk Live, and then hit 0 to leave your message.
Are you sick of government lackeys who say you didn't build that? Are you tired of elitists who think you need a government permission slip for everything? Everything you do is an A to B conversation, and the government should see their way out of it. Create true free markets by adopting the BIPCOT No Government License. The BIPCOT No Gov license allows use or modification of any product, service, or software except by governments or government agents. Go to BIPCOT.org. That's Bravo, India, Papa, Charlie, Oscar, Tango.org.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything that you want. Got time for you. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. It's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well. Skype username's LRN.FM. And with you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Vincent.
If you're thinking about what to get people on your Christmas shopping list or holiday shopping list, and you're just, you're not really sure, you're tired of kind of the same old, well, we've got an interesting new advertiser on board with Free Talk Live. You can, of course, avoid going to the malls and the lines and the crowds and get something unique that they're probably not expecting, and that would be Omaha Steaks. If you're looking for the perfect gift, for only $49.99, you can get My Family Gift Pack when you go to omahasteaks.com and enter code FTL, like Free Talk Live, FTL, in the search bar. That's 77% off their regular price on this package. We were sent this package here at the Free Talk Live studios, and when I got this thing out, 2 filet mignons, 2 top sirloins, 2 boneless pork chops, 4 boneless chicken breasts, 4 kielbasa sausages, 4 burgers, 12-ounce package all-beef meatballs, which are delicious,
You're
by the
making
way.
me hungry, man.
Yeah, I'm not even done yet. 4 potatoes au gratin, 4 caramel apple tartlets, and their Omaha Steaks seasoning packet. Plus, you get 4 additional kielbasa sausages for free. I thought, okay, this is at least $100. I mean, because it comes in a nice like igloo kind of, not igloo, but like a cooler with a couple packs of dry ice in there. So this is frozen when it arrives at your front door. Still plenty of dry ice left, so it was very, very cold. I thought this is fancy stuff here. I mean, it's well packaged. It looks nice. The quality is fantastic. It's aged for 21 days to unlock the full flavors of the different cuts of meat, and it's delicious. Of course, hand trimmed, vacuum sealed. I mean, they really do a good job with the product here. But I'm thinking, okay, this is the most expensive, most wealthy kind of thing. You got to be really rich for this. No, $49.99 for all of those meats and the caramel apple tartlets as well. Just an incredible deal, and it's a great gift for anybody. I mean, because everybody likes to eat. So as long as they like good meat, you got to check out Omaha Steaks. Go to omahasteaks.com. They're giving an exclusive savings just to Free Talk Live listeners. You get all of that for just under $50. Go to omahasteaks.com, use code FTL in the search bar, and add the family gift pack to your cart. It should come right up when you click on the FTL option that comes up when you type it in there in the search bar. Get that 77% savings, or search around the site and find what else they've got, because they've got a huge selection of not just meats, but also seafood, poultry, pork, veal, lamb, veggies, desserts, appetizers, pasta, soups, seasonings, sauces. I mean, these guys are seriously delicious food, and it comes right to your door. So, yeah, super easy, no-brainer kind of gift here. So go and check it out. omahasteaks.com, code FTL. Type that in the search bar. You'll see will come up in the search, and then just click that to get access to the family pack, the special offer, and you'll probably want to get one for yourself as well, just so you know what you're getting other people. Give it a try. Let's go back to Jack. He's in Jackson, Michigan. You're back on with Ian and Vincent. You had some questions about what it means to be a libertarian, questions about like welfare and business freedom, being able to make choices that might be unpopular in a business. I think that people should be free to do those things and suffer whatever the consequences are from the marketplace.
Sure. One quick more question. I know we have some time constraints here, but and by the way, the website I'm looking at, it's the 2016 Libertarian platform. It's www.lp.org/platform.
Okay.
So I just want one more question, basically about taxes. Under 2 point, the heading Government Finance and Spending, it says all persons are entitled to keep the fruits of their labor. We call for the repeal of income tax and the abolishment of the Internal Revenue Service and all federal programs, blah, blah, blah. My question would be, how would the tax structure be, and how would we finance things like infrastructure? Things I don't mind paying taxes for roads. Mm-hmm. I don't, however, like paying taxes for things that, Planned Parenthood, for example, that those are my personal opinion. Other things that I don't feel my tax dollars should go to because they don't coincide with my beliefs. But I don't mind paying taxes for roads, for infrastructure, for things that we do as a society need. We need to be able to travel. How does the tax, if there's no IRS, if there's no income taxes, maybe you could give me a brief summary of how the tax structure would work?
Sure.
And yeah, go ahead and take that.
Now, Vincent might have a different idea here because he describes himself as a minarchist, somebody who believes in a very small government. You called a night watchman state earlier. I'm going to let you take a crack at this, and I'll give the more standard libertarian answer. But Vincent, I'm just curious. Do you see any involvement in your night watchman state for road building?
I'm not going to centrally plan it. I think it's. Instead of going straight from this police state that we have to, total, Ancapistan or total free society, I think, we need to transition. So Will there be paid for roads? I'd say it's be up for a community thing. I think the main way we'd get taxes instead of an income tax or anything would be taxing imports coming in through the country or taxing exports to come out. Because with a night watchman state, you'd have a navy to defend that, and so I only see the states providing protection from threats foreign, but there'd be maybe even like sales tax or interstate commerce, but certainly not taxing people's productivity through income tax, which is disgusting. I don't know why people put up with it today.
Now, as a libertarian, I'm against all taxes, all forms of coercive taxation.
I am too, but just in the transition.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, we need some way to gain revenue.
So I'm going to talk about the ideal world.
Once the transition is done, though, how do we pay? And we go to the society that you suggest.
So
how do things get paid for?
The ideal world, there would be no public property. Everything would be privately owned, and so private owners would decide how these things would happen. Ultimately, you take it out of the hands of central committees and let business owners and communities, neighborhoods decide how to handle that. You look at Disney World, for instance; they've got some of the best roads in the in the country. So
they don't have winters like we have in Michigan.
No, I got you. I get where you're coming from. I can tell you, I don't know what it's like in Michigan, but the roads are garbage here in New Hampshire, and
here as well. Yeah.
So
it
would be hard to do a worse job than the government does on the roads. I'll say that. But further, as far as funding is concerned, I think you're going to find that most people are like you. Most people want to have a decent road to drive on, so they're more than likely to support some sort of public building project voluntarily on a consensual basis. If it's not being done by a business that owns the property, then even if we still have some sort of governmental concept, it could be one where people opt in to support the things they want to support. Okay, so I get this tax bill, and it's a suggestion instead of a demand, right? Oh, well, here's what this department wants to get for their budget. Here's what this department. So, okay, you don't support Planned Parenthood? Well, you don't check that off. You don't fill that part out or whatever. But you support the roads or clearing the roads, like snow clearing or whatever. Okay, yeah, I'll send some money to that. Oh yeah, I like the fire department. I'll send some money to them, and that would make them immediately more accountable for their actions and immediately more efficient to get to where we want to go. There's a lot that can be talked about, and there's a lot that's been written on the subject of roads, because that is one of the big sort of objections to libertarianism. So I would recommend looking into libertarian perspectives on the roads, and there's a whole lot that you can get into. Jack, let's talk again if you got more questions. I appreciate your call tonight, man. Thanks for making it here with Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. You can join us and take control of the airwaves.
In these uncertain times, it makes sense to have a sustainable backup method to cook food and boil water. If your current plan includes using a fuel-burning stove or cooking over an open fire, then there's a much better way. The Minuteman Rocket Stove is a biomass-burning cooking stove that only requires small quantities of sticks and twigs for fuel. The Minuteman Stove is easy to use, smokeless, portable, powerful, and sustainable. For the finest in survival cooking stoves and fire starters made right here in the USA, go to MinutemanStove.com. That's MinutemanStove.com.
I'm David Hall, founder of Diamond Gusset Jeans, here to wish you all a Merry Christmas. For over 20 years, we have built a loyal customer base with 100% American-made jeans featuring enhanced fit, comfort, durability, and style. Today, all of our inventory is discounted by 20%, so don't delay. Enjoy a wonderful shopping experience at Gusset.com. Thanks for keeping our American dream alive, the original Diamond Gusset jean.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends radio show. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgoristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agorist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers, and some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agorist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any tomfoolery. So go with AgoristHosting.com. And if you want to get your foot in the door with decentralized marketplaces, Agorist Hosting is now offering Open Bazaar hosting. Go to AgoristHosting.com, click on the button that says Get Hosted. Agorist Hosting, that's AGORIST, hosting.com.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Would odors, mold, and mildew describe your basement or crawl space? It doesn't have to be that way. Transform them into a fresh, healthy, usable one with the technologically advanced Wave moisture control units. The computerized operation maximizes moisture control and also expels harmful radon, combustion gases, and numerous other pollutants. Dehumidifiers are old technology that do nothing for air quality and waste energy. Wave units are intelligent, self-monitoring, do not need maintenance, and will save you hundreds in electricity. Wave units are still running effectively over 15 years. They've been tested and installed in public and military housing and by property managers nationwide. Buy a unit now, and if your home is not fresher and drier, you can return it for a full refund for up to 12 months. What have you got to lose? Call now. 1-888-618-WAVE. 1-888-618-WAVE. Or visit mydryhome.com. That's mydryhome.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can take control of the airwaves by dialing in toll-free. Our number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You know, healthcare is messed up in the United States. It'd be nice to have a healthcare system that focuses on health and not sickness. Now, of course, health insurance pays for treating sickness, but it gives you nothing for being healthy. And doesn't that incentivize illness instead of health? Well, there's a free market healthcare company that can give you freedom from health insurance. It's healthexcellenceselect.com. They give you a proactive health assessment daily if you like, and no-charge 24-hour access to doctors, including traditional, integrative, chiropractic, acupuncture, and massage, plus a medical information card you can give to EMS, first responders, the emergency room, or whatever medical professional you want. You'll love the service and the price, so go and check them out at healthexcellenceselect.com. That's healthexcellenceselect.com. As we go to the phones and your calls and thoughts, James in Arizona, you're on Free Talk Live via Skype. Hello.
Yes, Vincent, I think we have something in common, that thou shalt not bear false witness against your neighbor is a commandment given by our Creator. You'd agree with that, right?
Yes, that is a commandment.
Yeah, one of the biggest 10 of them. You know, it's not as bad as murder that other people you know have been involved with. But anyway, you are sitting next to a person that does it with the impunity.
Well, what do you mean when you say bear false witness? What does that mean?
Don't lie.
Okay. What are you saying
don't lie
I lied
about people. And then I've already mentioned it before, what you've lied about.
Well, there's always new listeners tuning in. There's always new listeners tuning in, James. So why don't you clarify?
Anyway, you've regurgitated the lie as well, Vincent, about me having 3 Deweys and you get your rocks off. And that makes
I've seen evidence. I've seen evidence that you've had
Vincent,
at least 3 of them, James.
Don't contradict my word.
Your word, James.
It's not funny.
You know, you're bearing false witness if you're lying about this or lying about Ian being a liar.
I wouldn't be lying to you, Vincent. The reason why the guy in the background laughs is because he doesn't believe our God commands us not to lie and not to bear false witness. The only God he believes in is stuck right between his 2 ears. He's only answerable to himself, and he doesn't care about other people. But Vincent, if you want to call me back, and I'll tell you the truth, because I'm not going to waste any more airtime about it, Vincent.
Wait, sir.
But
you know,
Vincent,
one of the things you never answered.
James, I really couldn't care less. Okay, I don't care if you actually did or didn't. All right, and
I do.
Here's the thing.
Do.
You never have explained, and you will not answer the question. I'm going to
me.
put you on hold for a moment. He's never explained, Vincent. I've asked him more than once because he's called to accuse me of calling him a liar. For listeners new to the show, James in Arizona, regular hate-filled caller. He has accused me of being a liar because I went and found, or somebody found and then pointed us to, a website that has arrest records, and it shows 3 different mugshots of him associated with 3 separate charges for DUI. And when I've asked James, well, if you're saying you weren't, charged with 3 DUIs, can you explain why there's evidence that you were? And he's never answered that question, so I'll give him one more chance to answer it. Go ahead, James.
I was never given a chance to answer.
Sure,
you just spent a lot of time regurgitating a lie.
You just ignore them and you keep insulting.
I didn't ignore it. You're not letting me speak.
Okay, go. James, please go.
Let's get the answer.
By the way, Vincent, I do care.
What's the answer?
That you lied about me on the public airwaves. I'm going to answer it, but let me speak. What is this show called? And talk about anything you like. And
yeah, you called in to talk about the same old crap.
Except for when I call in, you
called to talk about the same old crap that you always do and ignore the same question you always ignore.
It's not crap. But leave aside that you post things that listeners are looking online about a caller and posting things about just a caller to a radio show, and then you all get
you
your
aren't just any old caller to a radio show, dude. You threaten violence against the host of the show.
To hosts also
off the air. Yeah, you've been sending messages to Vincent on his Facebook profile.
Yeah, to Mark.
Vincent, let me respond to that threat.
Okay.
I'm not threatening anybody. I'm guaranteeing you, Vincent, if you were ever to smear me or lie about me to my face, I would drop the Catholic part.
Yeah, because that's what Jesus would do,
because
right?
It's funny, that's right. I'm not, like I said to Vincent and to other hosts, I'm Roman, Catholic. I try to live by the commandments of Jesus Christ, and I certainly haven't lied about
There
anybody.
is no try.
I said I try. I do violate the scriptures, as do you, sleeping with a 14-year-old, or I'm sorry, she was 16.
Well, Jesus did that with Mary Magdalene, so I don't know why you're...
But may I continue and respond? Hey, Vincent, it's not funny.
How old was Mary Magdalene?
I have no idea. I wasn't there.
It was not funny. Oh, my God. Is he making fun of the scriptures, Vincent, that you say that are written by God?
No, I was asking Vincent, a question.
I've been arrested 3 times. I've been arrested 3 times in the last 6 years. Driving on a suspended license had to do with my Dewey. I didn't pay the fines. And then one Sunday morning, I was walking my dog at the park, and some woman called the cops because I was walking around with my dog off the leash, and the cops showed up. And on the only Sunday I had off last summer, Vincent, the only Sunday, a beautiful day, the cops showed up, and I found out I had a warrant out for my arrest because I didn't go out to the other side of the valley to report that I'd done all the things because of my Dewey 5 years previous, that I'd accomplished all those things. So I got arrested. So I haven't been arrested for 3 Deweys, but the point is, Vincent, you guys all get your rocks off bashing my reputation on the public airwaves, believing what you want to believe is true, and then call me angry for being mad that you were lying about me. And you call me a hateful person? Ian Bernard, you must be kidding me. What I hate is lying. What I hate is smearing. What I hate is stupidity.
Well, I also don't care for lying. Can you explain to me? Let's stay on topic here,
James. First, thank you for explaining that.
Thank you for the very first explanation of. Thank you for the very first explanation of anything about your arrest, but it still doesn't really answer the question of why jail.com has 3 separate arrest records, all mentioning DUIs. Are you saying that they are lying, James?
I don't care who you're citing. I just told you the whole truth and nothing but the truth about the 3 times I've been arrested in the last 5 years. What you're reading online, I don't give about. I do care that you don't. Your first instinct is, again, to question my word, which you would never do in my presence, ever. Not to mention Vincent. He's a crazy loon that you admire that actually was guilty of an accessory to murder and helping a murderer get away and lying about the murder when he was arrested. Obstruction of justice.
Now, to be fair, James, the jail.com,
to be fair,
the jail.com listing here, when you search for James Wittekind, does have a DUI with a BAC of 0.08 or more. That's one of them.
I've seen another reputable site that has the same information.
That one was, let's see here.
I'll send you the link later. But
booked on June 7th, 2015, DUI with a BAC of 0.08 or more. Then another one on 2013, December 18th, again, BAC of a DUI with BAC of 0.08 or more. Now, the third one, to be fair, is a different charge. The third one is in Maricopa County. It was DUI-liquor/drug/vapors DUI/combo. So that one, may or may not be a DUI, but it does say here. Oh, no, that one also has a DUI. There's two charges there. There's DUI, liquor, drugs, vapors combo, and then another charge of DUI with BAC of 0.08 or more. And that was in 2011. So you've got 2011, 2013, 2015. Are you saying that two out of those three are a lie and that jail.com is lying about you?
I don't care what jail.com says about me. I'm not looking for me online. I just told you the God's honest truth.
Why are there three arrest records
for you? What did
you
you do? They're all stem from the same charge, you piece of human
There
crap.
are three different arrest records with three separate photos.
Of human crap. I got pulled over for driving on a suspended license. The initial charge, I guess, jailbait.com, where you found Renee. List that as being all the same freaking Vincent, by the way. Jesus wouldn't be cool with a guy sleeping with a teenage girl.
We're laughing.
I said you made a good comment. That was funny, man.
Thanks for the call, James. You can't take a compliment.
You
You
lied
can't do
about
it.
me on the public
Thanks for the
airways.
call. That's enough. All right, that's enough of that. So, I don't know. Maybe he was so drunk he didn't remember getting the charges. I mean, honestly, I don't understand. I mean, look, I'm just going based on what the internet says. It's possible jail.com is wrong here, but it's not like they're using the same booking photo for all three different arrests that happened over a period of 4 years.
I mean, it's so inconsequential in my life. I actually believe what he said just now, but then he just gets angry and vitriolic about it again. I don't get it. James should actually like this show because he'd be in favor of abolishing the state too. So, he could drink and drive and not worry about getting arrested.
Toll-free number 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. So basically he's just saying that these arrests are not true. And it's possible the internet can be wrong.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he's so hostile and so nasty, it's hard to believe the things that are actually coming out of his mouth. And of course, no one would have ever looked for this stuff if he weren't so awful. It's Free Talk Live.
You want disruption? You got disruption. Cell 411, the world's most disruptive and empowering app, knows you want ride sharing with payment options for cash, Bitcoin, silver, and barter, as well as credit cards. And they know you want more than promises. Cell 411 delivers. The same great emergency management app, now with ride sharing. Freedom to travel is a right. You don't need big business telling you how to do it and taking fees. Go to the App Store now and download Cell 411 and get riding.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin, but imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. SaveItPurse.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-615-7709. That's 800-615-7709. 800-615-7709.
A majority of Americans are pointing to Friday's tragedy as a clear call for major reforms in everything, or literally anything at all that might prevent acts of horrifying, senseless violence. According to a recent ONN poll, the nation is united in saying that the key to preventing future tragedies is a drastic change in gun control, mental health care, school security, media coverage, violent entertainment, the fragility of the human condition, and really so many other things we probably haven't even thought of yet. Jesus. The Randolph Center for Public Health and Safety also released a statement saying, quote, "If you look at statistics regarding gun violence in the United States, you'll see the recent shooting is a clear cry for any anything at all to please be different. In Washington, lawmakers have reached a bipartisan agreement that the U.S. desperately needs tighter firearm restrictions or looser firearm restrictions, or honestly, whatever option just makes these things stop. Do that one.
This is the Onion News Network.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phone, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Stouffer's, helping bring your family together with wholesome dinner options, even on the busiest of nights. Find dinner table ideas to bring your family together at letsfixdinner.com. To get kids involved in dinnertime conversation, ask specific questions, not broad ones. Instead of what happened today at school, try what was the best thing that happened today. The more specific you are, the more they'll have to say. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live. We got enough time for you. If you want to join us now, our number's 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype at Skype username LRN.FM. With you tonight, it's Ian.
And Vincent.
And if you enjoy Free Talk Live, you want to help support what we're doing here, then please join the AMP program. It makes a big difference for us when you do it. You get all the features on our website for free. So you don't have to, but it makes a big difference because that $5 a month that it costs you, that's like nothing. That's the price of a fancy cup of coffee at Starbucks, right? The average person spends $5 a month on a bunch of throwaway crap. So if you like what we're doing here, then go become an amplifier because it helps us market Free Talk Live to new radio stations. Daryl Perry and I were calling busily this morning stations all across the country because it was announced that Herman Cain, you may remember him from the 2012 presidential primary, well, he started doing a syndicated radio show after the primary was over when he lost. And he's been doing it since, and coming up in January, the beginning of January, he's done. So he's calling it quits on his syndicated show. That means that there's like 100-something stations out there that are going to need some new programming. And so now's a perfect time for us to be calling, but also you, if you want to help us. Let's say you don't have $5 a month to amp the show at amp.freetalklive.com, then pick up your phone, call your local talk station, and ask the program director real nicely, whether they've got Herman Cain or not. Just ask them to add Free Talk Live to the lineup. It's always a nice thing for a program director to hear something positive towards what they could do to make a better station, and we think Free Talk Live would be an important part of that. So if you want to help us market Free Talk Live, to advertise the show, to promote us, to get more of the ideas of liberty on the airwaves. You heard our caller earlier tonight from Jackson, Michigan, saying he discovered libertarianism because of this show. We can do that in more markets. We're on 160 stations now. We can have 300. We can have 400. I think Limbaugh's got like 600. Dave Ramsey's got 500. So, I mean, there's hundreds more that we could add. But it does take money to effectively market the show. So please, you'll get perks if you join the AMP program. You get access to the AMP-only call-in lines, the AMP-only podcast, the AMP-only Facebook group, and more. Get all the details. Get signed up with any major credit card through PayPal, Visa or MasterCard on the site, also Bitcoin on the site. And I've heard rumors that our site now takes American Express. But honestly, that was like something that our credit card company started to do, or the credit card merchant provider. But I don't know anyone that has an American Express card, so I don't know how to actually test that. So if you got an American Express card and you want to test out the AMP program, let me know how that goes. I'm curious to know if that actually works for you. amp.freetalklive.com. Thank you in advance for doing that, whether it's the holiday season or later when you sign up. We really appreciate it. Let's go to David. He's in New Mexico listening online. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, a couple of fun educational nuggets I pulled from your show tonight. Topic one, first of all, Bono, interesting point. In Albuquerque, New Mexico, there's a topless bar called Knockouts, and I knew a bartender that worked there. And Bono was, I don't know what he was in Albuquerque for a couple weeks or more, but he used to go into that topless bar every afternoon, spending some of that 95% of that donated
charity money.
Oh.
He was helping poor topless strippers make
college students
make a living.
Yeah, pay their tuition.
Right, they got kids. They got kids to mouths to feed.
Yeah, exactly.
They're only making $300 an hour. I mean, Jesus.
Yeah,
it's a tough life.
Yeah, no kidding. $300 an hour, $800 a day. Yeah, exactly. The next nugget from your show, there is a positive from James' conversation. He had dropped the "Thou shalt not bear false witness," which is rather entertaining. Well, to tie that into some news here in Albuquerque, the DA Carrie Brandenburg, who's high profile, been there forever and is retiring now, but she's the one with these cops that shot the quote unquote homeless camper dude.
Right, shot him to death for really no reason whatsoever, just because they could.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. In short, I agree. There's all kinds of convoluted, facts and opinions and such. But anyway, I mentioned her just because she's high profile. People know her. I've had several private one-on-one extended conversations with her during this 10-year pendency dealing with the loss of my children. One of the things that she said to me when I brought up on the topic of "Thou shalt not bear false witness," that in the state of New Mexico, and here's a direct quote, and this was a few years ago, but at that time she said, quote, "I have not seen anyone prosecuted for perjury in the last 15 years. So how pathetic is that? And the message is, here's a fun way to look at it. Hey, criminals, or hey, anybody, if you want to go into court for anything that is, for instance, well, for anything, criminal or civil, and lie about somebody else, you are in no danger whatsoever of being called on the carpet for it in New Mexico. Now, for instance, I believe in Texas, they do go after people for that kind of thing. But in New Mexico, you can lie all you want because the top law dog in New Mexico basically says that she hadn't seen anybody prosecuted for lying under oath in the previous 15 years. And something even more entertaining is if it's a civil case and not a criminal case, if you want to get a civil restraining order against somebody or anything else civil, and there's a lot of civil stuff like that involved with children in custody and such like that. All you got to do is if you got more witnesses that will lie on the witness stand, then the other guy can bring witnesses that will lie on the witness stand. Mm-hmm. The burden of proof in a civil case is preponderance of the evidence, which means that if I got 3 liars and you only have 2 liars, because this happened to me. Yep. I didn't bring any liars, and the other side brought 2 liars, and therefore I lost 2-1 on liars. And the judge decided against me. And so how's that for educational and amusing and pathetic?
David, thanks for your call, man. I appreciate the story. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Ian and Vincent in the studio here. We have, throughout the show, kind of been touching back on this topic of, do we need the FCC? And there was just a couple more paragraphs from someone who Donald Trump has actually appointed to his tech policy transition team, one of 2 people, Mark Jameson from the blog techpolicydaily.com, which appears to be connected to the American Enterprise Institute, which is a kind of a Koch brothers funded organization, as I understand it. So far he's been pretty spot on in this article about, is really the FCC even a necessary bureaucracy at this point? Was it ever? He says, why do we still have an FCC? He writes, there seem to be 3 reasons we still have the FCC. One is inertia. Dissolving a federal agency is a large task, and Congress often has other priorities. Second, the FCC is valuable to businesses and interest groups that are benefiting from its activities. The recent work on net neutrality, business data services, and set-top boxes are bestowing benefits to some segments of the industry at the expense of other segments. And as we discussed here, the FCC is protecting the existing licensees in radio and television from any real semblance of competition on the radio waves. But also, he says here, it's all at the expense of customers who ultimately bear the brunt of regulatory rent-seeking. The FCC's universal service subsidies have, for example, delivered profits to numerous telephone companies over the years, and the cottage industries formed in support of net neutrality, set-top box regulation, and universal service policies employ a large number of people. So all of those people are going to lobby against abolishing the FCC. The third reason he says we still have an FCC appears to be that it's important to keep radio spectrum allocation independent of day-to-day political pressures. What would we do without an FCC? Any legitimate universal service concerns could be handled by others. States can subsidize network access as they see fit. The Department of Health and Human Services can incorporate telecommunications and internet into its assistance to low-income households. And the FTC and states can handle consumer protection and ex-post regulation. A much smaller independent agency could be created to license radio spectrum, where a spectrum license would be a property right for use and not about content, he says, which is an interesting proposed change. Again, I'm totally against any licensing whatsoever, but I'd be happy with them cutting out 99% of the FCC and
gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, and leaving that one aspect. He says the license holder could lease its space to others or use it itself for content or other services. He says, thus, at the end of the day, we don't need the FCC, but we still need an independent agency. So not a pure libertarian perspective, but certainly a perspective that has been unheard of in Washington, D.C., in my lifetime at least. And so it's refreshing to have that perspective coming out from one of Trump's proposals. Now, that was the nice thing I had to say about Trump. On the other side of things, he's proposing penalties for people who are burning the American flag. And that's a whole other conversation we're not going to have time to have tonight, but I would like to have that conversation at one point. I can tell you this, that already, because of Trump's comments, there's an activist here in New Hampshire, Shire Dude, who has scheduled a flag burn event for the same day as Trump's inauguration. So there may very well be flags burned in various different places on that same day. Should be interesting if that actually comes to fruition. So, Vincent, thanks for joining me here tonight.
Oh, it's always a pleasure, Ian.
And you'll be back, I think, Are you coming down Friday?
Oh, yeah.
All right, and then more, of course, tomorrow night. You can join us online in the meantime over at freetalklive.com. And don't forget to amp the show at amp.freetalklive.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. SaveItPurse.com.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1. Share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Are you tired of hearing things like this on the radio and television?
I've read the Quran, the Hadiths, the Surahs. 90% of it is violence.
Terrorism, Islamic terrorism, ISIS, Islamic terrorism.
I would even submit to you that Islam's not even a religion. It's a social, political system that uses a deity to advance its agenda of global conquest.
Wouldn't you much rather hear things like this?
And Muslims traditionally were very libertarian in their approach.
The Prophet, peace be upon him, says even at times of war, you don't break a tree, you don't destroy buildings, you don't kill women and children, you don't kill the aged and the elderly.
What's called income tax